Blast off. I can't wait for Halloween.
Hey now, what's happening?
My favorite holiday. Look, that's the perfect pumpkin, isn't it?
Nice.
Did someone paint that?
No, that's carved. Professional
That's carved?
artists. Yeah, they use the little Dremel.
Oh.
And they use the light from the back, like at different depths to get certain amounts of light to come through. Yeah, like really intense. There's a guy in my friend's neighborhood that does them. He's like insane. He did Albert Einstein one year. He does all of them, but
Nice.
crazy stuff. So what's up, gentlemen? How you guys doing?
Good. How are you,
Excellent,
sir?
man.
Doing well.
John, how you doing, dude?
Good. How you guys doing?
Excellent, dude.
Been spying that killer EVH you got there, man. I love that thing. Not only sound sweet, but I just love that, the white one, man.
This is actually a special, but I like I tricked it up here.
It looks good.
Like, I put the whatchamacallit, the pearl
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to send away for Japan. I got these from
Oh,
Godo.
really?
Yeah, Godo
Wow.
P7 mini tuners. I found the distributor in Canada. I guess you could probably get other ones, but these ones came out were perfect.
I love the block inlays though, because it looks so classy. It's got that it's like Eddie Van Halen meets like the tuxedo of a Les Paul.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean?
You're right. Exactly.
I love that.
And I got some, I get it all FU'd out here with some brass and some,
It's funny though. It's like in an alternate universe, if you told someone the special was $4,000 and the custom shop was $1,000, they wouldn't know any difference. I swear, so much of it's up here. I mean, yeah, there's some differences, but I played a special and I went, what is this thing? 3,500. And the guy's like, no, and he told me the price. I'm like, oh, it's a special. He's like, yeah, dude, it plays great, does it? And he's like, yeah, that's the one everyone in the shop wants.
You know what? I have the USA, and I think there's a big difference actually now. The more,
really? I play both, so you could tell. Then there you go.
I had a standard, I had two specials, and then I had. And don't get me wrong, for whatever $800-900 this guitar, whatever it is, it's amazing. It's a great guitar.
Yeah.
But there's just something about those USAs. They are really made really well.
You got that where it's like one person worked on it for a long time.
Yeah, I gravitate always towards that one because
do they like roll their edges and stuff? Are they pretty?
Yeah.
I
mean, it's very comfortable. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's just the construction about it. It just always stays in tune. It's just, it's a really nice
Ferrari.
Yeah, you got it. Exactly.
I mean, it is really, it's a combination of 30 years of tinkering and breaking and just like he said in the video where they're all, I watch that like once a week with Chip Ellis. They're sitting there and he goes, you know how much stuff I destroyed, man? He's like, vintage guitars and all this. And he goes, this is what came out of that,
Right. Exactly.
Very cool guitar. And even the way it's set in more because he's not a huge guy.
Right.
Like just everything was changed.
That's Jim DeCola, man. Jim DeCola.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's at Gibson now. I guess he's in their custom shop. I think he runs that, but he designed that guitar and every little thing about it. He thought about that, setting the neck in like that. I mean, he from top to bottom.
He must have a heavy design and a heavy engineering background because there's a lot of innovation, little things that they just tweaked in there that made it perfect.
Yeah, he's a real smart guy. I mean, he's on Facebook too. If you're not friends with him, you should friend him. He's a great guy.
Cool.
Great guy. I've asked him a million questions, and he's, he'll answer all the stuff about
Let me ask you a question, Tommy.
Go for it.
Who's here with us tonight?
Let's check. Let me see who we got. I'm going to run up through. Let me see if I can do it this way. What's the easiest way? Let me close that. Sorry, brother. I was right at the wrong minute. Bear with me for 2 seconds. All right. So let me see here right away. I have, my chat refreshed. That's why. Simon Hosford. Jimmy Ray Hawkins is here. Welcome, Simon. Welcome, Jimmy Ray Hawkins. Kurt 5150, the Rev.
Kurt.
Thanks for being here, guys. Haas. Tim Thomas is here as well. Thomas Santiago. TK, you want to pronounce that correctly for me?
Thomas Santiago.
There we
Thomas
go.
Santiago.
Best first name ever. No, I'm anyway, Dan of New Jersey is here. We mentioned some. We got Christopher Live Sawa back again. Welcome. Nice to see you, Chris. And let's see. Keith H is here as well.
Big winner.
Keith was our winner.
Yeah,
that's right. Want to pick someone named John Conklin? Don't know him. I've never seen him, but he happens to be here. And I see Music Therapy Les. Let me see if I missed anyone. And then I don't know who's here from the British Electric Blues and 5150 show. I'm gonna guess probably, is it Simon, or you think it's
they'll watch Andrew and Brad.
Yeah,
they'll be watching.
So, Andrew, Brad, and Simon.
Absolutely.
Good to see you gentlemen as well.
Absolutely.
And I think that was everyone. So thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, and their links are down in the description.
I watch them if I have to sleep on replay, and then if I can't sleep or have insomnia or don't have to, I'll just watch them.
Yeah, I had to watch his show from last night, Black Sabbath.
Volume 4, right?
Yeah, I watched that today.
I watched like 30 minutes so far. It was really good.
Hey, Craven Soda.
Soda in the house. Nice to see you, dude. John.
Yes, sir.
We are going to go over some of these dates that Mammoth has played this week since last Sunday. And Kid over here's got the numbers on all of those shows. Now, we've got some pretty big news, a chunky announcement that we need to make. So,
a really big announcement.
Yeah, no time like the present, right?
Yeah.
When you mentioned one of the people involved and said the name, it instantly stuck out to me from, growing up as a guitar player and a Eddie Van Halen fan particularly. Yeah. And I thought you had the name wrong. I was when Tony was telling me, privately and email me, and I was like, wait, did he maybe confuse it because people know that name? And I'm like, he's like, no, that's who it is. I'm like, wow. Like, that was impressive to me.
Let's go ahead. Chunky news, exactly right. Andrew, nice to see you, sir.
Andrew.
SLO 100 chunky.
Channel. John, I'll show these shots that I've showed you for this announcement as we go, but maybe you can give us a kind of a little bit of a backstory on how all this happened, and
Well, so first, I think everybody, we have a real special event coming up on this show on Sunday, September 19th at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I want everybody that's in the chat and everybody watching to tell all of their friends and anybody who loves Van Halen to tune in that night, because we have two special guests. We have Brad Tolinsky and Chris Gill, the authors of the new biography on Edward Van Halen, Eruption, Conversations with Eddie Van Halen. We're going to have those two guys as guests on the show. It's a big deal because the book comes out October 5th, and they wanted to speak also to some heavy-duty Van Halen Ed heads, and they wanted to, we're the people, a lot of this book is directed to, because we're such big fans. And a lot of you guys watching will know that, these guys have known Ed well for over 30 years. And they basically, every Guitar World cover story since, 1990, these guys have been involved in. Brad was the, editor-in-chief of Guitar World from 1990 to 2015. And he wrote a lot of the interviews with Eddie when the albums would come out. He'd go up to 5150. They've been up there many, many times. They know Ed very, very well. And so they wrote this book. And this book, they have over 50 hours of interview time with Ed.
Wow.
Chris Gill, he came in the latter half of Ed's life and career. He took over and would write the cover stories for that. As a matter of fact, in the new Guitar World magazine that just came out with Metallica on the cover, there's a story about the Frankenstein guitar that I guess came from this book when they were doing the book. And there's a lot of interesting information in this article about the guitar, the Frankenstein guitar, that a lot of people don't know. So go get that Guitar World, the new issue. It should be just coming out now, like this week, I think. So so it's a big deal because these guys are starting to do press for the book. This is going to be a big time book, and I'm hoping that we all, the Ed heads that want to keep Eddie's memory alive, can buy this book and promote this book and buy it for holiday gifts for people or birthday gifts, everything like that. So we can try to get it on the New York Times top 10 bestseller list. You know what I mean? Just to show people how important Ed was as a musician in the 20th century and how he still, we wanted him to remain important. So, and I think this book is going to be the benchmark for biographies, because I don't think there's going to be any authorized biography from the family or anything like that. But this interview has interviews with family members. It has, Steve Vai. It has Gary Sharon. It has a lot of people in the book that, that they spoke to, and they were very, forthcoming and stuff like that. It's not a sensationalistic book. If you're looking for a gossipy book, this isn't the one. They tell Ed's story, and they tell it from when he came over from Holland, and they tell it all the way up to his passing last year. And so it's not, it's his whole life. And, I think it's going to be the go-to the book for, this type of thing. If you want to get to know Ed better, or what made him tick or about him, I think this is the book that you're really going to want to read. I'm in the middle of it right now, and it's incredible. It really is. I was telling you guys before, just the little the piece where they just happened to mention a classical piece that I guess Ed got part of Eruption from, that he knew, and it's and they actually mentioned it in the book, and Ed got a laugh out of it in there. And it's I don't know if you guys, if you read the book, you'll pick out all this stuff in there, but I mean you'll be able to hear a little bit of it here. It sounds familiar. If I can turn the volume up. Yeah. So that's a piece by a guy named Kreutzer, a classical piece. And I guess, Ed probably growing up playing classical piano was familiar with it. And he actually, you can hear part of Eruption really in that classical piece. So this book has got all kinds of nuggets and little things like that in there that are pretty amazing. So I'm really excited that we're going to get to speak to these guys on here, because I don't think they're doing a lot of these shows. I know, they're going to start doing press for it, but, they really want to speak to, the ed heads out there, and that's us. So I just want to encourage, I hope we get a really big crowd, and I hope we get, a lot of people to pre-order the book. I mean, Tony, you have some slides there that you can show of the book, and people can start pre-ordering it. But
Sure.
it's going to be a great night. And then the fact that we have the chat on here, we'll be able to ask some questions from the chat too. We'll put some time to that. So I think it's going to be a great night, and I think they're going to be great guests.
Yeah, a couple of points. Also, we'll be talking about this book and having both of these authors here on the 19th. That's 2 weeks from tonight.
Yeah, we got both of them.
That's awesome.
And this is a full 2 weeks before this book comes out. So it comes out, oddly enough, October the 5th. Yeah, we hadn't talked about that yet.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know about this book, and but they will now. And like that back there,
yeah, the cat was back there.
Yeah, so I think there's some people that Simon order placed, and Craven Soda, I think you said, or Jimmy Ray Hawkins, he pre-ordered it too. So that's great. I mean, I hope a lot of people will pre-order this, and because I really think that Ed, needs to remain in the public eye, his memory and his legacy and things like that, and anything we could do to keep it going. And I think this is a worthwhile book. It's not, like I said, it's not some gossipy book or anything like that. This is just and you know what? Conversations with Eddie Van Halen. It's Eddie speaking to us too in this book about his life and things like that. I mean, they have a wealth of material. Like I said, over 50 hours of interviews with him. They knew him very well. So these guys are definitely very qualified to write a book about, Ed and his life.
Now, explain to the viewers again, John, who these authors are.
Yeah. So
again.
Yeah. Please. So each of them have, are authors of other books also too. But I know Brad did the conversations with Jimmy Page about 6 or 7 years ago too, a book about Jimmy Page, and they have guitar and music related type of books, that they've written before. But both of them were at Guitar World for a long time. Brad, like I said, was there 1990 to 2015 as the editor in chief of Guitar World, and.
Okay.
And I don't know exactly what year Chris got there, but the latter half of Eddie's life and career, he would write most of the stories, pretty much all of them, up until the end there here. And and Brad picked up around 1990 when he got there, and he wrote the first half. So these guys, between the two of them, they just have a lot of knowledge and personal experience with Ed. So I just think it's the book is phenomenal so far. It's just, there's so much great stuff in it, and
there you go. Goodness.
Yeah, that's it. Conversations with Eddie Van Halen.
So this comes out October the 5th.
Oh, I wish it was out now, man. I want to read this. Good.
It's a nice big book. It's a lot, a lot to read in there. It's a good sized book.
Nice.
And I really, listen, I believe if there's ever going to be a film on Eddie's life or something like that, the Hollywood may come and they might option the rights to this book, because it's just so well put together. It has the arc of his whole life in this, and the good times, the bad times, and the ultimate redemption in the end. You know what I mean? And before he passed away at a much too young age. So I think all Van Halen fans are going to want to read this. I really do, and I hope we can all do our part. Not just us guys here, but everybody that's that's in the chat, and just all of us that are Eddie nuts that are on Facebook or wherever, and just get the word out and get a lot of people here that night to watch it, and get a lot of people to pre-order it, because I think, I shouldn't say I think, I know that these guys want to keep Ed alive, his memory alive in the future, and he's too important of and I feel like, I never feel like the media did enough or understood enough what this guy meant to a lot of people. You know what I mean? I don't think that they got it. I think some of them got it a little bit, but I don't think they really, got his impact. You know what I mean? So I hope, I see a lot of people here got pre-orders in, which is awesome. That's great.
Yeah,
so
pre-order too.
Yeah, and I can tell you, because like I'm reading the book right now, and it is just, I want to have it all done. So I got a lot of information for the night there, so we can talk about.
Yeah,
nice.
I got the book too.
So yeah, so we'll have enough. We'll have a lot of information to talk about. So
very cool.
So Chris and Brad will be here in 2 weeks.
Nice.
On the 19th, talking about this book. Yes.
Yeah, cool. And I guess go to Amazon, and you can pre-order it on Amazon. And I don't know if does it say on the slides any other place? I forgot where you can pre-order it, but Amazon's a good place to pre-order it, right?
Yeah, they have it there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
nice.
So that should be exciting. Should be a great show. So I hope that a lot of people tuning in that night.
Yeah.
That's my goal for the whole thing. Just get a lot of people in there just to listen to what these guys have to say, and then go out and get, they go out and get the book.
Well, I mean, for as much time and as much knowledge as you had, and the breadth of your knowledge as being a huge Van Halen fan, for you to have such a positive impression of it thus far, really sheds light on how good it must be, from your review, because, you tend to, when it's been years and years that you've been into Van Halen, it's like, when you go and read the same stuff, you're like, yeah, I read that 30 times. And it tends to make you feel jaded. So your impression, though, to me seems very refreshing, almost like you would have the same effect whether or not you were never a Van Halen fan or the level of fan you are already. So that's cool, because I hate when you go and you're reading the same stuff that you already know that's been rehashed by 20 times. But that's cool, because people probably haven't heard these two guys' stories, a lot of the stuff.
And there is some stuff, because we all know the life story about them coming on the boat in Holland with the piano and $50 or whatever like that.
Yeah.
And Ed talks about that in there, and they ask him questions about that. But there's just a lot of other stuff, and you get to put by, the point I'm at in the book, you're starting to put together a composite of who Ed was and what his life was like, with his, growing up with his parents and his brother, and not speaking the language, of course, things like that, and just it's just
Mom's health. And,
there's so many details and things like that. Just like songs that Ed listened to. I would go on Apple Music after I'm reading the book, and there was a band called The Seeds, and there was a song he loved and had great distortion in the guitar solo, and it was just so I went to that because that was a very influential song for him when he was a kid. So I'm listening to all of this music, Yo-Yo Ma's, cello, Bach cello suites, stuff like that. It was just
that's awesome, because you're gonna have tons of questions, you and Tony, to ask them when they come in. That's awesome.
But I think
this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be really cool. But I've heard of another Van Halen book that's coming out soon, and hey, I'm sure that in the years to come there'll be more.
You would hope so. You would hope so.
Sure. But so these fellas will be here on September the 19th. This book comes out October the 5th.
Yeah, I really think people listen, not everybody ever got to meet Ed, or even, some of us shook his hand and just, 30 seconds of small talk with him or whatever like that, if that. But for anybody that never got to meet him and you want to get a feeling of what the guy was really like, I'm telling you already from reading this book, because like I said, I keep stopping and listening to songs that, that they liked when they were, Dave Clark 5 and different, stuff like that. Any song they mentioned, just to get a feel for it as I'm going through, winding my way through this book. And there's, there is some of this, like I said, the stories that we've heard before, but there's other little parts of it that I didn't know and things like that. So he kind of gives you a bigger picture of what his life was growing up as a kid, and you know, playing with his father and his, you know, his brother, and you know, it just, you know, his father's type of music. It's like, you know, and how that stuff affected, you know, him and his own, you know, like Ed says basically that, you know, none of the bands that were on the Sunset Strip after us, you know, none of them had the experience that we had, like, you know, playing with his father's band and a different kind of music, and, you know, knowing how to work a crowd, you know, like just, you know, from his experience with his father's big band jazz music and stuff like that. It's, you know, you'll get a feeling of this all through the book. And like I said, there's the story arc. It's just, you know, from him as a child coming and then all the way to it till his death. So I'm sure when you get to that part, you'll walk away from this. And like I said, it's not a sensationalistic book. They tell you, you know, the facts. It's not, you know, they're not pulling punches or trying to create controversy or anything like that. You know, they're just saying as they see it, as they saw it, and then using his own words in a lot of it. And Ed, as we know, was a complicated guy, and he was a bundle of contradictions. You know what I mean? He would like you one minute, and then he wouldn't like you the next minute, and then he might like you, the guy or somebody again, or something like that. He was, you know, like all of us. You know what I mean? I think by the end of it, we'll have a great picture of what he was really like and what made him tick. You know, and what was important to him. So. I just think that people are really going to enjoy the book. And like I said, I don't think the family or the estate is interested in a authorized biography of him. So I'm not sure, but I wouldn't think so. And this might be the closest thing you get to any kind of authorized thing, because Ed spoke to these guys, and, you know, and like I said, there are some interviews with family members and things like that in the book too. So you know, it's almost like, you know, that's as good as we're going to get from the family, maybe on an authorized kind of book. You know what I mean? So, and I just think it's a must read. It's a must read.
I don't always look at authorized or unauthorized, but these two guys here, I mean, you can't get much more first person than that, the editor of Guitar World.
You know what? Kurt says it perfect. These two guys, Brad and Chris, wanted to build the ultimate EVH book. They took 40 years of data to one package. You know, this will be great. It's going to be great. You know what I mean? It really is. A lot of work went into it. So, you know, and we all know, you know, all of us guitar players out there, we all know the name Brad Tolinsky and Chris Gill, because these are the guys, you know. I said to Brad, I go, you know what? I go, you know, a lot of us out there, we read so much, or experts. Oh, we think we're experts on Eddie. We know this, we know that. There's a lot of guys out there that claim, but that's not firsthand knowledge that we got from Eddie. And these two guys are where we got primarily most of that information from reading Guitar World. And he played a Roger Giffen 12-string electric on Pound Cake. Well, we got that because they interviewed, you know, Ed in 1991, probably Brad, and asked him, what are you using on there? Custom made Roger Giffen, you know. So we know all this information, but we're getting it from these guys. So we owe these guys a lot of props for informing us all these years, because our expertise comes from their interviews with Ed. You know, whatever we know about him and his equipment and everything is from their interviews. And another thing about Brad wrote a book with Alan DePerna, I think in 2015, called Play It Loud. And that book was the inspiration for Play It Loud at the Met. So we have another reason to thank Brad, because of Brad, a lot of us got to go to New York. I'm lucky enough I live in New York, but we got to go to the Met and actually, you know, basically hold the Frankenstein guitar in our hands through a plastic, you know, loose side case. And that was all inspired by Brad's book, Play It Loud. So I think that is reason enough alone that we should all go buy the book, you know, because we're very thankful for that. Whoever thought we would ever get that close to the Frankenstein, you know? So just another reason, you know, that these guys are great guys. So, but I think, you you know, I just want to get a good crowd to watch the show that night and to pre-order the book. And because I think it was really cool that Brad said to me, he's like, listen, we want to speak to the hardcores. He goes, you know, we do this for you guys too. You know what I mean? This is what we do, and we're doing it for you guys too, because, you know, and let me tell you something, there is some cool guitar stuff in there too in the book. You know what I mean? It's not just the story. They talk about guitars and stuff like that in there too, which is awesome for guitar nerds out there too. So it's not like they, you know, just talked about Ed the person. They did talk about that because that was a big part of his life, the equipment, you know. So they talk about that in the book too. So it's just a great read so far. It's like, as a matter of fact, you know, I can't wait to get back to it. So
Yeah.
But that's it. So September 19th, 10 p.m. I hope everybody's there and have some questions, like I said, and we'll in the chat have them answer some questions with that. And, you know, I don't know how long we're going to have them for. I'm hoping at least an hour, but you know, it should be a fun time.
Definitely going to be fun.
That's it. So it gives us something to look forward to, the book coming out, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, it'd be out a day before Ed's death, first anniversary of his death. So, you know.
Yeah, we hadn't spoken about that, but I've noticed that since you sent me these promos.
Yeah.
Comes out the day before the anniversary of his death. Huh?
Day before,
Exactly. So.
Heavy September and then a heavy October, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited for it, and you know, tell everybody, spread the word on the Facebook and all the pages and everything.
Yeah. Let me show.
I'll tell all my friends that are like drummers but are such big Van Halen fans that even though they're not guitar players, they'll watch because it's Eddie, of course. You know, in the same way, if it was like a you know, something that was someone who had interviewed like Neil Peart, I'd watch it as well, even though I'm not a drummer, you know.
Yeah, right, exactly.
We'll get all those non-guitar players to watch, get the numbers.
Yeah.
And guitar players as well.
Yeah, you know, I know Steve Vai spoke to these guys. He's in the book. You know, I said Gary Sharon, and he was very open and honest. He's just, you know, it when you read it, you'll be like, wow, you know, he's a real cool guy. You know what I mean? He's just straightforward and honest about everything. So it's just,
that's cool.
Yeah. So,
nice.
Yeah.
John, do they weave the story in between the quotes? Because all the quotes from Eddie are exact quotes, right?
Yeah.
But it's not Q&A. There's text between the quotes.
There's like Q&A parts too, but they build the story. It's basically, like I said, it's the timeline of his life. It goes all the way through that in there, and at different times in his life,
they pull the quotes.
They pull quotes and things like that. Yeah, it's really well done. It's like, you know, it's hard to put. I can't. It's like every time I have to put it down, I'm like, oh man, I want to keep reading.
There is a story woven through it. It's not just interviews, right?
Yeah, it's his life. It's basically his life story, and it just gives you a composite picture of who this guy was. You know what I mean? That's what I can get from it already. But I feel like by the end of it, and it's just a great story anyway. And, you know, listen, they made a Freddie Mercury movie. Let's hope someday they make an Ed movie, because, you know, it does have you know, its ups and downs, this whole story. And, you know, and everybody loves redemption, and Ed's life is, you know, by the end of his life, there was redemption. He was back to the smiling guy from the 1984 video, you know, the Jump video. And, you know what I mean? He was that guy again, you know what I mean? Back to
Robert Downey Jr. of music.
Yeah, right. After some dark times,
he was back on top at the end.
Yeah. And how many people don't, you know, obviously his life, you know, ended way
just
too
down
short.
the hill, you know?
Yeah, right. It way too short his life ended, but how many people get that second act in life?
Get to tour the world with their son. You know what I would give to do that? You know what I mean? Like,
you got it.
Insane with your son on stage.
Yeah,
that's gotta be crazy. You know?
Exactly. So I you know, it's just, you know, it doesn't really have a happy ending because Ed passed away, but if you can feel good about anything, yeah, if you can feel good about anything, it's that, you know, hey, he came out of it, and you know, he was back to being the guy that we all originally, you know, loved from when we were 16 years old, back in the, late 70s, early 80s. So, so there is redemption, it's a great story.
Before we slide into our next segment, let's say hello to a friend.
There he is. What's up, Kurt?
What's up, Kurt?
What's up, boys?
What's up?
Nice hat, man.
Oh, thank you.
Nice.
The
Right.
Rev.
We should have a segment like Kurt should at least.
Yeah, Kurt.
If Kurt
How's
can
that
do
German
it,
boy?
he should at least come on once a week, even if he's not like able to be on that long, and give us like a piece of Van Halen information that like the average listener in the chat might not know.
He's
because Kurt goes that deep.
contractually obligated.
Nice. I like that.
What's a piece of information I can give tonight that no one knows? Shoot.
Yeah. Or I mean, some people here might know, like John might know, or Tony might know, but something that a lot of people wouldn't know. Like a super nerd information piece.
Okay, here's one. In 2000, David Lee Roth and the Van Halen group tried to put together a new album, and David Lee Roth's management camp didn't want to do the album at 5150 Studios because they felt that David Lee Roth didn't have any power. So that's why they went to Henson Studios. I don't know, John, if you knew that or not, or Tom, but David said, I'm not going to do an album with you guys unless we do it at a neutral place, because I'm afraid that we'll put a bunch of stuff together and it'll never get put out. So that was his golden parachute, I guess we'll call it, where he said, if we're going to do an album, Different Kind of Truth, we got to do it at a neutral spot. I'm not doing it at 5150 Studios. So that's why they went to Henson Studios.
So I knew part of that. I knew a little bit about that he wanted neutral ground. I didn't know the studio. That's the nerd nugget. I'm going to call it Rev's Nerd Nugget.
Red's Nerd Nugget with no sauce.
There you go. Because to know the studio, that's some deep knowledge.
You know what? Here's something
Let's
to add
go
on to
further
that.
with Kurt. Let's find out what songs they recorded.
Here's something to add on to that. Did you know that they re-recorded all the guitars for that album at 5150?
No.
Oh no, they did. Did they really?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, John Shanks or Ross Hogarth. I talked to Ross Hogarth one time, and I asked him. I go, this is just a little nerd stuff, but remember the movie The Iron Giant?
Yeah.
Cartoon movie? So remember the kid's name was Hogarth?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I knew Ross Hogarth's father was like an illustrator. So I just said, hey, Ross, and he's from not far from where I live originally. And a guy that I work with went to high school with him. So I was talking to him somewhere online or something like that. And I said, hey, I go, is that movie Iron Giant, is that Hogarth, is that named after your dad? He's like, yeah, man, how did you know that? So it was kind of cool. Yeah,
That's
pretty
cool.
interesting. But I'm pretty sure it was him or John Shanks said that they recorded. It might have been Ross. I think it was Hogarth that said they re-recorded all the guitars at 5150 for A Different Kind of Truth. So, and remember what Dave used to call 5150? Howdy Doody Mountain.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Real.
yeah. Howdy Doody Mountain.
Yeah, he didn't want to go up to Howdy Doody Mountain, I guess, And he was right.
He
had no
looked
power.
at it as a playground or a place to
Yeah.
practice. I don't think he wanted to get stuff done there,
And it's no secret that towards the end, if you notice, they painted it gray, 5150.
Yeah, like the gunmetal gray, right?
You got it. And they put the numbers in like a battleship on it.
Battleship gray.
I think he asked for that font, like the Navy font.
You got it.
Would the Navy give it to him or no? Or did they have to get as close as they can get it?
No, I think that it's pretty much the same font that's on the decals on the 5150 guitar. It's very similar. They're just stretched out. But that, I think that was Ed's idea there, was to make it look like a Navy, a fortress. You know what I mean? That was a Navy. I think that was the idea behind the gray paint and everything. There you go. See, it looks like a battleship, doesn't it?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it looks like a battleship.
How do I get this thing to go? Maybe I got to turn this way. There we go.
There you go.
Yep. There you go.
There you go.
Nice, Kurt. That was quick. See, you had it all ready to go.
Wait, what's that oiled up man doing there? What's that picture?
What's that?
What's that oiled up man picture?
That's you, Tom.
Oh, is that the one I sent to you?
Kurt, what songs did they record at Henson Studios? Do you know which ones they demoed at least?
60 seconds on the clock.
I think they demoed the songs at 5150 Studios, but then when they actually went to track the actual songs other than the guitar tracks, they did them all there. But I think As Is, man, you got me on the spot, CK, because I just listened to a podcast where they talk about there's 3 songs that were,
what ended up on the record that wasn't the demos, the kind of newer stuff.
3 songs were done at 5150 Studios, and then they went to Henson to redo them all. I'll get back to you on that.
All right.
I'll find out. But there was 3 songs that were done there, and then they went to Henson to bust them out.
So most of those new songs weren't really new because those I think As Is was a newer one, and maybe Honey Baby Sweetie Doll. I think those were, but I read this recently, or I heard this recently. I don't know if I heard where I even heard it from, but they said that the new songs that we considered like the 5 new songs on it, most of them were from the 2001 or with Roth that they tried to record back then. It was the same song. So Ed really didn't write much brand new material in like 2010 or 11 for that album.
Right. So the new songs that came out in 2012 were actually demoed at the first attempt.
Yes, exactly.
Right? But I think they actually were working. Right?
Yeah. Like, so the
new material, not the demos they pulled from the past.
Right. So the newest song might have been As Is, because remember he was on Charlie Sheen on 2.5 Men. He was playing that. So that was like 2008, 2009. So that might be one of the newest ones that are on that album,
Now, when he was at Jason Becker's house, was he playing one of the riffs from Van Halen 3 or from that album?
Can't Get This Stuff No More.
That's what I thought. I thought it was that song, yeah.
Yeah.
He's sitting on the couch. He's like, I want to show you this. It's crazy because it's like a tiny little practice amp, and you would think he had a freaking, wet, dry, wet setup, dude, man. It's all the hands, dude.
But back then he was using like little line 6 practice amps when he wasn't in his studio. But if you guys remember, the Best of Volume 1 was Volume 1. So there was plans to do a Volume 2.
Yeah. But
that never came through fruition. So then they did, of course, the Best of Both Worlds later. But there was plans to do a Volume 2, Best of Volume 2, that never happened either.
Kurt, do you know the
deeper cuts and then a few new Roth songs?
A couple more Roth songs, and they were going to put deep cuts in there.
Yeah, deeper cuts, because they usually use mostly singles on that first.
Yeah. What's up, John?
Kurt, do you know the real story behind the edit of Running with the Devil that was put on maybe the first pressing or whatever it was of Best of Volume 1?
They pulled. I think there was like 3 or 4 different versions that were cut up, and the choruses were different. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's completely out of order. The song, it's all edited together.
It was a complete oversight. They just didn't. I think they remastered from the original stuff from the studio that they pulled from the Warner Brothers archives. They didn't actually remaster the stuff that they put on the original pressing.
So you're
and I think they pulled the wrong tape. They pulled the wrong tape masters. There you go.
They just grabbed the wrong one. That makes sense, because in the Sunset Sound video, he talks about having 2, 3, and 4 versions for a lot of songs. And he's like, maybe in the future we'll get an album of all various versions. He goes, there's crazy amounts. And he goes, in the one part of the Sunset Sound video, he's like, I don't know how much we can talk about. The legal department might not want us talking about that, or the family might not want that out there. But apparently there's all these alternate versions for a lot of tracks. And that, like what Kurt was saying, that they probably just literally grabbed the wrong one, or said, oh, I thought you said 3 and not take 2. Or
This is just it's the regular song. It's just a different edited completely. If you listen to it, and Sirius XM for years, they would always play that version because it's on a computer, all their music. And every time Run With the Devil would come out, I was going to tweet them and say, can you please put the real version of the song on there? It's like, I couldn't.
Yeah, the one we know. That's the thing about watching that band live, is sometimes they would go off and do a different variation of a song, and I don't think it was a different variation.
No,
Eddie never really went back and listened to anything that was on tape or on vinyl or on CD. I think he just played it as the way he knew it, and a lot of the times the way they mixed it or the way they pasted together, he didn't know the sequence, so he would just play it
Well,
the way
like,
they would jam it in the studio.
To that point, Alan Garber was just talking about yesterday that he was transcribing some of the live solos. I think it was for like I'm the One, or I think that was a tune. But anyway, regardless of what song it was, he said that from like 81 on, Eddie always played some variation of this version live, which is not the way it's arranged on the album. He kind of streamlined it live so that he could be crazier and run around, and made the fingerings and stuff, and kind of, I guess, changed a couple notes just to make it flow better than it was on the album. Because on the album, it literally could have just been
it's
sliced.
a few examples.
Exactly.
Right.
And when I've seen guys, the last thing I worked in, because I went to, my original undergraduate degree was in audio engineering and recording. I worked in a recording studio, and I'm shit on digital recording because all of my recording experience is in the analog world. You know what I mean? I cut 2-inch tape, and that's what I used to do.
Razor blades, yeah, right.
That's what I would do all day. I was an
Scotch
intern.
tape.
I would do that all day long. But you would have engineers that would make cuts, and then you would get older engineers that would be like, "That's a viola. You can't cut that note to that note. It's not humanly really possible." You know, even like the Ingve of the viola or whatever, it's not going to be like that. Like she'll be like, or she or he'll be like, we had a female that was playing with us. That's why I said she, but the person will be like, "What are you, an idiot, dude? That's like asking to do like play a guitar like boom, ba-dam, ba-dam, ba-dam." Like you don't do it, but with a cut you can do it. You know, like.
Except if it has a SMPTE code on it, then you're totally screwed, right?
Oh yeah. And we would always, we would take breaks and clap because you don't know how much you're going to get. So if someone stopped, we would clap at the end of their tapes.
That's how they screwed up Beat It. They cut the Don or Eddie. They cut the SMPTE code on it, and Lukather and Jeff Porcaro had to put it back together.
By the time Mike got there, Michael, what have you done to my song?
Yeah, right.
Go Eddie, go Eddie, Eddie.
When they found out how to make MIDI, SMPTE code, and like traditional time clock work together, and they came out with the ADATs and the DAT machines, like our minds were blown. You mean I don't have to sit there and cut all day? Instantly, this like $3,000 cutting machine with like the flattest surface you can ever imagine, and like the smoothest lines, and then perfect razor blade line at like whatever that perfect angle was. I mean, and now it's useless because we don't need to use it the next week. That was weird.
Yeah.
That was really
but if you notice Eddie, whenever he was like put on the spot, whether it be at NAM or wherever, where someone would ask him to play something, he'd always say, "I got to relearn that," or "I got to learn this," or "I don't know this." I really think he didn't know what was on an album or what was put on, the final pressing. And he truly had to listen to it to make sure that he was in the same ballpark as the way he played it live. That way the fans, were on the same page as what he was playing.
Yeah,
I mean,
makes sense.
Really. Which he's probably not the only one. I'm sure that happens to a lot of artists, but I don't think he never looked back. He was always looking forward,
Jump was one of those songs where they said that when they mixed it, because it was at the end of the 2-inch tape, and it as they were doing the fade out towards the end where it was, the tape ran out, and I guess it pulled off off the reel. So they said when they got the take they wanted, that was the take. When they mixed it, they had to be very careful, Don, when he was mixing it, to do the fade out, to make it kind of fade off fairly quickly, at the very end.
The
tape actually ran out, so they had to be careful.
Well, I'll give you guys a little nugget. Make sure you ask Brad and Chris, right? Is that who it is?
Yep. Brad and Chris.
Make sure you ask them about the story with Michael McDonald and I'll Wait. According to them, Eddie and Alex had no idea that Michael McDonald was involved. Did you read that part yet, John?
Yes, I did.
Okay, all right, you're good.
I know that story from another source, but yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, they didn't even know he was involved. So I guess it was just a Ted and Dave thing, and I guess Eddie didn't even really know. It was like that he was working on his song. It's like my music, my song. It's like,
According to them, he walked in the studio and Ted and David were listening to part of the cut, and Eddie and Alex said, "What's that?" And they're like, "Oh, nothing. Don't worry about it."
Yeah.
It was one of those real deep dive Sunset Sound videos from a couple months ago. That's where I heard it. Because they were talking about like in the studio who was there. you know, you know, the engineers, producers, everything, engineer, producer, everyone else, and that's what he mentioned. He said, like, like basically he said he shot him a look, and he just was like, don't say anything to him, like, just like that, and was like, no, we were just trying a couple things, don't worry.
Why were they trying to cover it up? Was there theory that Eddie Van Halen wouldn't be okay with that?
I think they didn't get approval, and they would have got fired immediately.
Guys, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab a drink real quick, and when I get back, we have a unboxing.
All right, present me while you're gone.
Look at that.
All right, this is sorry, it's reeled up.
Kurt, take your time.
You gotta frame that. You gotta frame that, right?
Now pull it away.
I'm gonna try. My wife will kill me, but I got so many other things in here. But this,
Kurt, that's her office, not yours. Remember?
I know.
Kurt, what you tell her is, I'm obsessed. I admit it, but I'm a good husband, a good father.
She knows that already, Tom.
I just have a Van Halen addiction.
But I got this from the guys from Sunset Sound on Johnny Bean's show. But this thing's like it's a poster, and this is the first. Thick. This is the first invoice for the demo that they did in '77. What is that? 4/13/77.
Yep. I love too. It has like the old school, like the red raised, like numbered sheet, like they did on old receipts. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I got to frame that. If you guys want, John, I can take a picture of it and send it to you if you want it. But I don't know, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I'd love to just have a photo of that, man. I'll keep it on my phone.
Man, I geek out on all this stuff, man. It's insane.
I'm sure your phone's like mine. It's just like people are like, what is all that crap on your phone? Because every like 30 or 40 photos, they just see either stripes or like a ton of like concert like still shot images.
Dude,
what is that? Yeah, that's exactly what mine looks like. That is how mine looks too.
It's never ending, dude.
That's like exactly mine. Yes, it's never ending. I think I have like 15,000 photos I have to upload to my server and just clean my phone again.
Yeah, I got like 21,000. So guitars.
There you go. And like templates of bodies for paint jobs, and
you got it.
And things that have like ratios between stripes and like.
There it is.
Look at that.
So there's some controversy out there with that car. We can talk about this while Tony's gone.
I never got listened from that guy.
I listened to an interview, and I have dug and tried to find it, whether it's YouTube or podcast. And I want to say it was either Greg Ranoff or Ted that said the very beginning of Hot for Teacher, they used that car for the intro. And Don spent like 6 hours mixing the drums and the idle of that car at the intro of Hot for Teacher. Have you heard that?
Yeah, that was Ted that said that, and I just think he's forgetting things, because there's no way that that's a car or a motorcycle or anything. That's Simmons drums. If the guy I play with, he still has the same one. I don't know, it's SDS5 or something like that. It's the same ones, and you can hear that sound on there. So there's
a guy that's as nutty as we are about Van Halen. I'll have to look it up again and find you guys the links, but he does drum stuff on YouTube, or at least he used to a couple years ago. And he has one where he either borrowed or owned Simmons drums, like, the stuff, and went and did it. And it sounds exactly like it,
So John, you don't think there was a motor loping in the intro to that?
No, I don't think so at all. Definitely not. I don't believe that for a minute, to be honest with you. Did you guys ever see the YouTube video where the isolated Panama track, and you can hear the Lamborghini? They bring everything down when he's revving it, and you can hear it rev it like 10 times on there. And the the album, you don't hear it as loud, but it's actually, there's a great YouTube video on that. You can hear it. I was trying to find out what happened to that Lamborghini, because they were supposedly sending it back to Italy to be painted back to its original color, which is green. I'm like, oh, why are they ruining that car? It's got, and it was a factory made, and it was a wide body. If you ever look at a Lamborghini Miura, and they weren't, they didn't look, Eddie's, the back wheels would look very wide, and the wider tires, and people thought, that he must have done something, but they found out that it was from the factory that way. So that car, he must have sold that for close to $2 million when he sold it, because that's how much those cars are going for now. And he used to drive
Did he sell it?
Everybody enjoy it.
Yeah.
When did he sell it? He still had it up until
He sold it in 2018. I guess he was getting his affairs in order, back in 18. But those cars are notorious for going on fire. I know a lot about those cars because I always love Lamborghinis in that car. But the carburetors, fuel would spill out.
You see in traffic, they catch on fire. Like you see videos,
and they would catch on fire.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's actually like I was watching some guy from England, and he had bought one, and his wife was like, they were looking at it, and he's like, "This car has 4 fire extinguishers. Is there something I should know?" And
it's like a cross between a Pinto and a Honda 250 R3 wheeler.
It's like a go-kart. So apparently, there's another video on there of a guy talking about it, and he goes, "Yeah, Eddie Van Halen's went on fire, and he was driving it when it was on fire." And he called his studio. So he must have been flying down Ventura Boulevard and just like running red lights. And he called the studio and said, "Be ready with the fire extinguisher. I'm coming up there." So they said he flew up there, came through the gate up there. The car was on fire, and they were able to put it out with the fire extinguisher without too much damage. But it was burning. It was flaming.
So the wind was the only thing keeping the flames off of the car. And
That's kind of crazy.
Was he listening to Fire in the Hole or On Fire?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's the inspiration for it, right?
He was going Peter Griffin style. He was listening to Panama,
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a good episode, man.
But the video on YouTube of if you guys look it up there, you'll see it's Panama, but they isolate down the Lamborghini part after the guitar solo and the breakdown in there, and it's really cool because you hear them rev it like 10 times in there. You can't really hear it on the album version, but you can hear the track itself underneath it. It's pretty cool. So check it out. Google it on YouTube.
So hey, is Jay Hannon still in here? Big shout out to Jay. He sold me his black German Floyd for my standard.
Oh, cool.
I threw it in with some titanium saddles, D-tuna, titanium screws, brass block.
Was he taking that off to put a low pro edge on instead?
And I had to route the pocket. It wasn't big enough. You can see the hack job. It looks like Mr. Brooks chopped up a chick. But Jay, if you're still in here, I moved the neck a little bit. He said my high E string was a little on the edge, and so I just adjusted it actually before I got on your guys' show. But John, this thing's a rocker, man.
That's for the price of those guitars, you can't beat that guitar.
I don't know how they got it that cheap, like inexpensive for what it is. I don't know how they did.
The maple neck, the baked maple is insane.
Kurt, tell everyone who's never played one, because I've only played a baked maple neck in the last 6 months. I got one guitar now that has it on, and I wish they were all like that now. It just feels like impossibly fast and smooth. Right?
Smooth, they're strong. What I heard is they hold their shape well.
Feel it, anything. They can be unfinished. That's the best part. Completely unfinished. Right. Because it's torrefied,
Very smooth.
So if anyone's looking for a Wolfgang, really, I mean, with the belly cut on these things, for less than $600, you can get a absolutely stellar guitar. It's got the same pickups that John's does. The American body that's hard to beat. You got the stainless steel frets, which is hard to beat. But if you are on a budget, man, this thing's...
And that's a nice thin neck on those too.
Yeah.
It's different than the neck on than on the specials or the USAs. It's a nice, fast playing neck on there. It's really nice.
And I was thinking about putting Goto the pearl P7s buttons on the tuners too, like you did.
Yeah, I mean, other people. I think you can get other ones somewhere, but I went the hard way. I found the guy. There's a distributor in Canada. I have his information if you're interested, but they're P7 Gotos, and he was a real nice guy in Canada. It took like 2 weeks to get him, but they're really nice. They make it look great, So
yeah, Eddie. I mean, that was Eddie's thing,
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Tony. Sorry, we totally bombarded your show. Tom and John and I just like ramrodded you.
No, dude.
Speak for yourself. Not for John, right, John?
That's it.
Let's unbox something. This is going to be cool.
I may or may not have seen what he's going to show you in it, and it is awesome if I did see it.
We're going to
It's certified mail.
Yeah.
Oh, then I didn't see it. I saw something else.
Did a midget deliver it in chaps?
Hey, you're not supposed to call me that.
Let me show you. Let me go to this view.
I'm not
I'll
little.
show
It's
you.
just that a Wolfgang guitar fits me perfectly. That's all.
Yeah, it's the camera.
I'm the perfect size. I'm closer to the size of Eddie. I'm a little bigger than Eddie.
Show you who it's from or where it's from.
I don't know. Certified mail, is he related to Mr. and Mrs. Mail? I don't know certified mail.
Anyway, I'm going to open this.
Go for it, brother.
This is going to be super cool.
Your cat's coming back, John.
There it is. Highly allergic to these things.
Oh, really? Me too.
My wife doesn't care though, so
Oh man, do they make hypoallergenic ones or no?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Like I know because I'm allergic to cats and dogs. My kids at their mother's house, they have a hypoallergenic dog. That way, if they're around it and come home, I'm not like the whole time.
This cat's like real lightweight, and she doesn't let it out because a hawk lives around here, and it tried to get it once.
We have a lot of hawks near me too. I'm in Pennsylvania, so yeah.
Yeah, a hawk came down and boom, just missed it. So she's like, no more. That cat's not going out anymore. So.
It's crazy too. They'll like my sister had a Chihuahua. Like the hawk that tried to swoop down one day probably was smaller than the Chihuahua, but they're brazen. And I guess they're pretty strong, and they'll lift any kind of small dog or cat up.
And this is a big one, man. He lives around here. He must do pretty well. He must eat a lot of.
Yeah, he's eating well, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's big.
Or easy pickings through the neighborhoods usually.
You got it exactly. There's rabbits everywhere around here.
Yeah, we get a lot. We get like if there's any stray cats, like that are outdoors ones. If there's woods behind my house, if they go into the woods, we have owls. We've got everything, man. Something with talons will get it,
Yeah, right.
Gotta be careful.
All right, hang on, guys.
Go for it, brother.
Damn, these things are.
I think I know what it is.
All right.
He bought that car that Eddie sold, but it came in parts, and he's just trying to put it together real quick.
It's the pink slip.
Yeah, it's a Lego version of it. He's almost finished. Is that weird, John, that I can hear the next notes in my head just on that little part? Like it's like it plays in my head. Like that's when you know you've listened to like a song like
too much.
Yeah, way too much in everyone else's mind, just enough in my own.
Exactly.
It's wild though. It's like it plays in my head automatically. I don't want it
on a loop. On a loop.
Yeah, it is on a loop. That was my lawn mowing music. The first 6 albums were my lawn mowing music for years.
My wife says you're sick. She says.
Oh yeah, that's what my ex-wife would say.
She's being nice.
Yeah,
my kids say that. Everyone else says that. Yeah.
I know, right?
All right.
You guys all off tomorrow?
I am.
I am off.
How about you, CK? You off tomorrow?
Yep.
Nice.
Okay.
Already.
All right.
It's cool because YouTube almost has like this weird, like, kind of phasing chorus, like
Let me
as it picks it up and
let me change the camera view here.
Natural chorus.
Yeah, exactly. Like natural detune, right?
2 cents.
We know that view from another show right there.
Oh, it must be a backstage pass. Wait, no.
Oh,
I love the grip on those too. That style.
they're the greatest picks. I love them.
Well, especially if you have like, I have arthritis in my hand from, having a hand injury, and they're great because then I don't drop them,
Yeah, I love those picks.
Me too.
The only thing they're not great for is pick slides, but other than that, everything else they're great for.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the secret to these picks when Tony's done.
Hey, I'm here.
Those are awesome.
You can tell now, Kurt. I think that's what he meant.
So you hold the pick high and it feels like a 60 or 70.
Right.
And if you actually choke up on it and make it smaller, or put your finger right here, it'll make it feel like it's a 80 or a thicker pick. They're actually designed to, if you choke up on them, I guess we'll call it. They sound
more rigid.
Yeah,
I guess.
more rigid.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I didn't even know that. That's cool. Well, Tony, you got the whole array here, huh?
Of course.
Yeah, dude.
John, why is the pick slide no good on it?
I just think because they are the plastic on is pretty thin. It's like not hard like the.
But if you put your finger on it and choke up on it, do the pick slide like that.
I thought you meant the opposite, John.
I'm going to try that.
Contradiction.
You hear that?
If I'm going to do a pick slide, I use the thinnest pick I have, which is like a 0.6. This is what I would use if I was going to use a pick slide, because that flex, I can get in the strings and even do that like Zach Wild, like almost like what do you call that? Like
No More Tears.
Space Invaders, kind of like, you know what I mean, kind of thing. Like you can literally dig into the string that way. But the only problem is, you'll shred one of these like
60
for like like a 60, but I
used
used it for 10 minutes and it's shot.
I love those.
Fix that, Tom.
What?
Do you know how to fix if you get grooves in it?
Well, can it fix like they go one way this direction and that way the other?
Rub it on a piece of carpet. Rub it on a piece of carpet. Yeah, Steve Vai taught me that. It'll fix it.
I'll have to get a piece. I don't have any. I have all wood floor.
Yeah, you get a piece of carpet or a rug or something. It'll fix it.
A rug that'll probably work. Yeah. So you just do it like flat.
Kurt, it takes the divot out of the plastic just by rubbing it on carpet.
You do it like this.
Straightens it out.
You do it like this.
Insane.
Way?
Yeah. Just like you're putting it on a grinder and just go real quick.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So basically, you're buffing and polishing.
73.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
the carpet's coarse enough to almost sand it down, Kurt.
Yeah. Try it out, CK. I was skeptical until I tried it.
That's
Does it have to be like a hard Berber carpet?
Just a regular like indoor carpet, like what you would put at the back door.
Now,
even the top
73.
Yeah. Even the top has that little like burr where it's been like separated. You can see it on the white one. It'll take that off.
Does it have to be a certain color carpet?
Like a redhead or a blonde.
Okay.
So weird? Tony, are those 73s? Is that a custom gauge on those? I've never seen the 73 on the white one.
60 and 73, I see. Is that what it says?
Yeah. Is the 73 more custom type of gauge? I don't recall seeing those anywhere.
Oh, with the grip on it?
60 is what Eddie uses.
Correct.
Are those
73? I don't know. I never saw that. I know the gray one. Like if you buy them without, in the store, the gray ones are the 60s, right? And then, but the 73, I thought the next one was like 80 or something like that. I didn't know it was a weird number, like 73.
Now, are you talking about Herco or which one?
These are the gray ones.
I'm talking, but if you buy the package of the ones like the regular ones, like Tony's got a display, just the non-logo ones, like regular ones.
Oh yeah.
They're gray. The 60s are gray, but I never saw 73s though. I wonder if that's like a custom gauge or something that they made for somebody in the band or Wolfgang. I don't know.
I don't remember seeing 73 either, but I just thought maybe I wasn't looking hard enough.
I don't know if I got any of the gray ones. The 60.
God, we're really getting nerdy.
We'll have these made.
Well, it's funny, Kurt, when you said that, it made me think real quick. It's funny that like people are like, oh, why do you worry so much about like this little pick, that little pick thing? But if you think about it, your pick makes so much more of a difference than 15 guitar pedals, because you watch someone play with a finger, or like when I play my Les Paul, I rarely want to use a pick because the finger feels so much better if I finger my Les Paul.
Yeah, you can use the backside of your fingernail.
Yeah.
So
Jeff Beck style.
Yeah, man.
these came from Oregon a couple of weeks ago, Kurt. Is that?
Yep, my neck of the woods.
Yeah.
3.5 hours from where I live.
Underground pick trading ring.
Yeah. So that was a couple weeks back, right?
Yep. 2 weeks ago. It was the night you guys had your last or Sunday 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now, what's the green one? Is that a bass pick?
Yeah. That's the bass player.
Tortex.
Now, is that a 0.88? Like one of these?
This one is this feels like
right?
A 0.10.
Okay. Because this is green too.
Yeah, green screen. It's got
those are all 351 size though.
Now this green one is not like these two max grips.
But is the physical size, are they all 351s? They're not like jazz or teardrops or anything?
Yeah, right.
Okay. I dig these too. I mean, I know a lot of people don't use them that are...
I got one of those.
Big time act people don't use them, but like, if you go see shredders, they'll have them on stage. But it's
so you guys know where the grip came from. Right, John?
Where it came from? No, I
don't. Say again?
Do you guys know where the grip came from?
I do not.
So
Eddie used to cut the backside of a book of matches, the striking strip.
Yeah.
And he would super glue it to the back of his pick to get that grip because he would sweat.
Yeah.
And then he took it to someone and then they made it integrated into the pick. But he used to tape the backside of a book of matches to get a strip of grip on his picks.
Kurt, I can tell you what I used to keep my pick from falling out of my hand because I have 40% tensile strength in this hand. I lost 60% when I was, had an accident. And let's just say it's not legal in all states, but it is a very good rosin that will hold a pick in your hand. But as soon as you want to let go, you can let go. It's very organic. As soon as you want to let go, you can let go. But if you want to hold it, if you have it on both edges, like a really good rosin, you have it on both fingers, you're not letting go. No one, you can't pull it out of the hand.
It's like pine tar on a Louisville Slugger.
It's exactly like pine tar.
I used to see the Les Paul Trio play here in New York at Fat Tuesdays, and then they went to a club called Iridium. And Les, as he got older, it was in a bad car accident when he was young, and they set his arm in a position so he could play the guitar. But when we used to go see him play, he used to have sandpaper and in between his fingers, and he would hold the pick with sandpaper back then. So.
Yeah, that's where him and Eddie bonded on that because Eddie, he told him I used to use matchbooks and Les Paul said I use sandpaper, so they did the same thing.
Yeah, Les was a mad scientist too. So
I just had the pleasure of being attacked by a dog about 3 years ago, and it literally just tore my hand in half.
Oh no!
Yeah, so yeah.
You need to stay inside, Tom.
I was literally taking a walk around the neighborhood.
Bring a weapon next time. Right?
Slim Jim.
Let's just say bad owner, not bad animal. And unfortunately,
yeah, right.
Yeah, you're right.
It had to be put down.
Always.
Usually is, and in that case, definitely was. The owner was
It was just running around loose, Tom. It wasn't.
It got out, and then he got my number because I gave his daughter as I'm running home, just literally gushing blood in my hand, and she's crying, and she was like late teens, early 20s, high school, college age, I think. And she's like, "Oh, do you want me to drive you to the hospital?" I'm like, "No, I don't want anything from you. Keep your dog away from me," because she finally got it leashed. And so she gave me her number. So I texted her and said, "Here's my number because you're going to, need to be giving me your insurance information." Her dad calls me right back and starts to question me. "Did you get too close to my dog?" And all this stuff. And I said, "Well, I was just going to ask for your insurance to pay my medical bills, but now you'll hear from my lawyer. Have a good day."
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Was the girl walking the dog on a leash?
She was walking the dog from a distance, and the dog got off the leash and bolted. And I found out after that I was the second one attacked in about a 1 to 2 year period, gouged a kid in the leg and caused severe permanent damage. And the dog was supposed to have either been Pennsylvania, you either have to put the dog down or agree to pay 50 grand a year in high level insurance, where you literally pay 50 grand a year out of pocket. And if it ever attacks someone, it provides, several $1 million in damage, because this is seen as a dog that's probably next time going to kill someone like it could have done to me. So it grabbed my hand, I kicked it in the head, and it released. But it was a huge freaking dog, and it was because they chained it outside every day and treated it like shit, abused it. So, but even after that, I'm an animal lover. I love animals. I love dogs. I just hate bad owners, man. Yeah.
So back to gear. I know Tom is a pedal nut, or John or CK or Tony. Do you guys have pedals?
I got them. I got a bunch right here. Can you see it?
I just got 2 recently. I was going to show you guys real quick.
Here's H9 there. Nice. I love H9s.
Yeah, I got H9. I got a DD500, and then I got the DD500 split A bead, so I can do 398 milliseconds out of the left hand side, and 798 on the right hand side for the wet dry wet. So it's all stereo, and then I got a switcher here. I don't know if you can see this. Hold on a second there.
Right next to the energy drinks.
There you go. Right. So I got a
nice chorus.
Yeah, I got a Boost line driver here, the Bob Bradshaw, the one he did.
Oh yeah, that's a great pedal, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It gives you like 20 dB, because I like the blue channel on the 5150, but you need a little more. Sometimes you need a little bit more gain.
John, that's a circuit he would just build in a plain box for like Lukather, Eddie, all those guys. That's what that pedal is.
That's crazy,
really
right?
What that is. Yep.
Yep. So I got a switcher, so I got all the pedals on this. So it's basically like a mini version of what Ed had here. So you can see the bottom here, the one that Friedman built him for the last tour. You can see it. So
cool.
So I have all the pedals here clicked on, and I just turn them on and off from here, and I can switch from there. But you know what was interesting? Dave Friedman, I love the blue channel on the amp, but it doesn't. I can't get great harmonics sometimes out of the blue channel. I love the tone of it, but it just doesn't have enough. And I always said, I don't know. Eddie always gets that great. I think Eddie's tone in the later years wasn't that fantastic, to be honest with you, but he was able to get those harmonics and stuff. Like if you do playing like
amp, that's 100% the Soldano amp, because go try that free Soldano plugin. It's the structure of the Soldano gain. I was playing Pound Cake last night. You can hit those harmonics no problem.
And it's funny because you're right, because I have the 5150, like the block letter one. I got that.
I had that in high school. Yep.
And I can I can get better harmonics. I think I remember out of that one. I don't really play that one much anymore.
Oh, the 5150's got killer harmonics. Yes, but way more than the new EVA.
On this on this 51, I can't get that. But I've come to learn. Dave Friedman said it actually, that Eddie always played on the red channel. He did not really play much on the blue channel at all.
I remember him saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Friedman confirmed that. That explains a lot of why.
Got a little busy at the end, like live.
Yeah, because the tone and the blue is just like so nice. And I'm like, when you listen to Eddie play live, it's like it doesn't sound like that blue channel. I always thought he did use that one because that's the real popular one about this. Everybody loves the blue channel on this amp, but Dave Friedman said no, he played the red one most of the time. He was on the red, and which explains it.
Yeah, trying to play something like Romeo Delight at 60 years old. Hey, I understand, man. Go to
absolutely.
Go to the red channel, in front of 30,000 people. Go for it, dude. You're Eddie Van Halen. Go to the red channel.
So you guys know I'm an office player. I got 2 mini preamp pedals. I'm building a board right now, but this one just came on Friday. It's the Soldano SLO 100 by Donner.
Nice.
Have you guys seen this one before?
No, I haven't seen it.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it in person.
So it's got a cab simulator on it. Runs both channels. So I got this, and then I also got the Moore Round Sound 5150, which has both channels as well. Then I'll pull this off. I got it on Velcro, and then I got the Plexi as my third preamp.
You gotta do a little video. I want to hear all these.
I know. I got to get it all hooked up. You're 3 or 4 other people have asked. So once I get it all hooked up,
you definitely.
I'll run a video. But I got a mini phaser, I got a mini flanger, I got the pitch box that runs the detune, and then I have an analog delay and a digital delay, all on one pedal. So I think hopefully that's all I need.
That's killer. That's
yeah.
awesome.
And these pedals, man, they're like $50.
I know, they're great, right? The Moors and everything, they're so cheap, right?
Yeah. So I'm kind of excited to kind of get it going.
Yeah, I want to hear it. I definitely want to hear that.
Because I'm not, I don't play live. Live to me is in the backyard with the 3 dogs listening, you know.
Well, listen, I don't take this thing out of my house really either anymore. So it's like, you know, my neighbors they get to hear a little more than they'd probably like, you know. But
my only problem, Kurt, is I started collecting gear early and often, so I have way too much stuff from.
I know. I saw your post where you were doing gear hoarders.
But I've literally been collecting it for 33 years now. Like, you know, just save my money, flip stuff for years and years, you know.
But that Saldano gets forgot about because it was one and done, you know. And
it's a wild amp, man. I was like, even if you get the plugin, if you have an interface you can use, like try that neural DSP plugin, because I've played a real Saldano, but it's been about 4 or 5 years. But it's pretty close. The feel, the harmonics are all there with it. And it's crazy how many harmonics come out on that. And I was using my Les Paul with like 7.7K in the bridge and 7.5 in the neck. And on the bridge, 7.7K, A5 humbucker, and I could get all those harmonics.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Crazy. And I have the preamp gain at 1. I can't do any more than 1 on the preamp gain on the Saldano. It's too much for me. And it goes to 11 on the preamp gain. I couldn't do more than 1 on the overdrive channel. It's just, to me, that was so heavy. I don't use that much gain. Like the video I did where I was playing, someone said was that the red channel in the LPD 87. That was the green channel with the level at about 75% of the way up, or at like 1 o'clock. The preamp gain part of it was down at like maybe like 10. You know.
I also bought one of those little. You guys see that little Bugera thing? It was only $100.
Oh yeah.
Because when I was recording that song that I did, I wanted to. I wanted to crank I wanted the tubes to cook a little bit. Yeah. So if you notice, I keep the volume like at about halfway, and which normally, I don't know if you could see that on here. Where am I? Oh yeah. So the master volume on there, I keep it around halfway, which is like enough to have the cops here probably,
That would be like rattling your windows. Yeah.
Yeah. So it gets the tubes nice and cooking, but then I take that thing and basically, attenuate it down. I keep it down at like, 2, and, just to play it in the room and stuff like that. I kept it pretty decently loud when I recorded that, but it's cool now because now I just leave it set all the time when I want to turn it on, and I can, make the amp work.
The craziest when using an attenuator, when you first use one, do you ever have, you hit a low real hard, you hear the transformer sound.
Yeah, right.
and you're like, oh my God, did I break something? Like the first time you do it, and you're like, no, that's literally the transformer going, whoa, like
did I fry this thing? Right, exactly, right.
But that feeling, even if it's at like 60, 70 decibels at like a conversation level volume, there's something about that when those tubes get cooking where the sound just fills. It's like someone got inflated with air. It's like it just fills everything out.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. That definitely helps it. Yeah. So, I mean, you can get really nice, attenuators. That one's like really cheap, but that guy, he did. I forget what his name is. Phil McKnight or something. He does. He's a bald guy. Mm-hmm. He does and he compared it to like a Rivera, a Rock Crusher or something like that. For like a $500 one. And he's like, listen, he goes, they were pretty. He was like, I would buy these. He goes, I don't know how reliable they are. They might, but he goes, you know what? You could buy like 2 of these or 3 of these for the price of 1 of those. So if one, but I haven't had any problems with it. It's pretty cool. And basically, Saldano made one too called the Jet Tenuator.
Yep.
And I think it's like basically the exact same circuitry as this, and China, they make this and they just slap the Bugera name on this, but I think it's the same exact, basically the same thing, as this is. So.
Yeah.
I try to get
Tony, I'm not sure what you have at home that you're playing with, but I'll send you these 3 little preamp pedals I got. I mean, I mean, you could get all 3 of them for less than $150.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, just something to tinker with, you know.
You can make a real cool
Send
just
me
micro
those
pedal board out of
links.
that too.
Yeah,
Very
you
cool.
definitely.
Sure.
That's awesome.
Haas agrees. Yeah, when you cook those tubes, man, like even on like a clean sound, and if it's like where you can literally talk over it and almost hear the strings over the amp, there's
Yes.
something about the transients and the frequencies that get lopped off once those tubes start going into harmonic distortion, and you get those second and third order harmonics, the harmonic richness, I don't know, it does something to the ears where I don't perceive a difference when I hear it on tape, but I perceive a difference in my
In the room.
vestibular system. I feel a difference. I get excited. I get like, oh damn. Oh, but like, and I've tried. I've had every except for Fractal. I've had for at least between a month to 2 years time every modeler out there except Quad Cortex so far. I've had all of them, or I borrowed it for 6 months from a friend.
You
And
know, Tommy,
I can't do any of them. What?
I'm sure Kurt will agree. It's a good thing you're not a golfer
Why?
because my pedals, I have like old MXR
Tom would have every golf club
1980s,
in the
and
bag. He would have more
Tom
than
would
what's
have
legal.
he would have closets full
But
of
here's the
golf
thing.
clubs
Here's
and
the thing.
putters and
Here's the thing.
putters.
Here's the
He'd have
thing.
more than what's legal.
Here's the thing. Did not Eddie Van Halen have a whole studio full of like way more guitars and gear than most other people?
It's true.
Most of the time when I'm sitting at home, it's one guitar, a cable. I don't even keep a tuner in line. I'll plug a tuner in or use a headstock tuner, but it's one guitar and a cable. And there's either a very, very short delay or reverb, but not both, and right into an amp. And the amp, 80% of the time, is a Blues Junior.
Reason that I asked, Tommy, I saw the post that you did, I guess, this afternoon.
Oh, that I have a problem?
Yeah, the
So,
hoarders.
so how many,
How many
in your
rooms do I have that look
estimation,
like that?
how many pedals do you own?
I don't know. Like that picture was one half of
There's your
one
answer.
room. That
I don't
picture
know.
was one half of one room. And
100 at least.
my friend came over and he said you should up your insurance because it looks like you're one of those weird dudes that like has a music store out of their house. And I was like, but I don't know. I have gear in every room in my house except for my kids' bedrooms and the bathroom, but every other room in my house, including all over my basement too. I don't know. I buy stuff cheap. I flip it. And then, but I'm like the guy that literally is like the guy that goes from the paperclip to the car. You know,
more
like
pedals are.
what I started trading to get to my 69 Strat took about a 5 or 6 year period, but essentially from start to finish, I probably have $400 invested in that 69 Strat because I traded up from a $400 item and I flipped till I had enough and then I bought it, you know,
More.
when I did.
All right, Tommy.
Yeah.
More pedals or more shoes?
Ooh.
Oh, that's embarrassing. I think pedals. I have a lot of shoes though too. I like shoes, but I don't have a lot of clothes. I'm very simple. I don't even have a dresser. All the clothes I own, except for a couple work shirts and pants, they're in the closet, and one,
I'm a
funeral
hat
suit.
whore.
All the rest of my clothes fit under my bed. Like I'm jeans, t-shirt all the time, and holes in my t-shirt. I don't, I've been asked like, are you supposed to be here? Like, no, I'm not homeless. I just dress like this.
So, with that being said, who in this industry, day and age, not to completely change the subject, but is there anyone else out there that really embraced the guitar, the strings, the wood, the amp, the effects like Eddie? Like who's left to kind of take the reins?
No, nobody, dude.
Maybe we can go around the horn and start with we'll start with
I'll start.
Tony. Like who's out there that still has that passion that Eddie had?
Let me throw a
there's
Talladega Nights reference. Start with the old bull, or no, not Talladega Nights, Step Brothers. Start with
Yep,
the old bull,
With
and
the
then
V,
Kurt will come around the horn, and we'll end with you, the young buck.
the V of
Yeah.
hair,
From
right
my-
down to your ball throw.
Yeah, from my from up near my neck chode or something like that, down to my ball fro.
We literally do none of that.
Go for it, Tony, Mr. Tea Cake.
we're age. I guess I'm the oldest, and then next to oldest,
Age
and
appropriate.
so on. Nice. Okay. So no, there is nobody out there. What he did um, is more than anybody else did, and it's more than Hendrix, much more than
I feel
Hendrix
like
or
Mozart.
anybody else did. They did a little bit, sure they did, but with everything involved, the music itself, the songs, the style of the guitar playing, the gear, the equipment, the everything. Nobody is left, and maybe a couple hundred years, who knows? But no, we're lucky to have experienced Van Halen in our lifetime. So
I just want to say real quick, Tony, Jimmy Ray Hawkins said he's the worst dressed instructor / interpreter at his elementary school. That's crazy because I work at like a middle school. I worked last year in elementary school and in middle school this year, but and I am like the worst dressed too.
but ending it, there are a lot of great players out there in the world. We could talk all night about a lot of them.
Mhm.
There's a lot of great players, but what Ed did in his time, no, there's no one else left. There'll never be another. You know, I mean, really, what? Not because we love Van Halen, but no, there's nobody else out there now and maybe ever. So, all right, Analog Kid, who's
What do
the
you think, kid?
Well, I wasn't old enough to grow up through the Hendrix generation, but when I was in elementary school and middle school and I was getting into rock and roll, all I ever heard about was Hendrix nonstop. No one would shut the fuck up about Hendrix, right? So,
Nice.
so when Eddie died, one of my first things, the first image I had in my head is, well, the first thing I thought of is, we just lost our generation's Hendrix.
Mhm.
It was Hendrix and there was Eddie, and that's it. There's nobody else. Don't say Vi. Don't say Satriani. None of those cats. Not even close. Not even in the same building. There's only two, Hendrix and Eddie Van Halen. There's hundreds and thousands of great guitar players. David Gilmour happens to be one of my favorites. All personal taste. But there's only one Hendrix and one Eddie Van Halen. That's it. There's only one.
Yeah, Gilmore's a hell of an artist.
I like his feel, you know.
Yeah, no, he's
But
an
that's
artist.
just personal taste, you know. I mean,
He's
there's
an
so
artist.
many you can pick. I mean, Tony Iommi's Tone, Randy Rhoads. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Some, you know, older people than me would say Beck, Hendrix, Clapton. I'm missing two. Page. I'm missing one. There's usually five from that.
Pete Townsend, some people might say.
And Hendrix,
They're like,
throw him in there too.
they're like early kind of Who.
All that early British stuff, you know.
Yep.
And like what I always say is that no one ever talks about Tony Iommi, but Tony Iommi invented a genre, and I don't know of any other guitar player on planet Earth that ever did that. I'm not saying he's the greatest ever, but he invented a genre that is
he was a
continuously
bushwhacker.
thriving to this day.
Exactly.
And there's been hundreds of subgenres of metal created in his wake, but nobody has his tone. They all tried. I've been to so many hundreds of Ozfest shows, and they're all trying. But then the king takes the stage at night, and he lays waste to them all because nobody can duplicate that tone. Much like Eddie Van Halen, you can't duplicate that. Hendrix, you can't duplicate that.
Jay Hannon.
There you go.
Yeah, but none of them come close. They all try hard, but they don't even come close. They're not even in the same building as that cat. Tony Iommi's tone invented a genre. I'm not saying he's the best though. Don't slam me here.
No, I get what you're saying.
He had.
So what's Kurt's definition is with Kurt using Kurt's definition that he originally said. Hendrix, Eddie.
I agree.
For rock and roll guitar, there's only two. You have to give Hendrix credit because what he did at the time, no one had done, and he came prior to Eddie. What he had done, nobody else had done, and then came Eddie. And we are still feeling those reverberations, and we will continue as long as rock and roll continues from what Eddie. I mean, that entire LA scene from the 80s, that entire scene is all is invented by Eddie Van Halen. It all goes right back to him.
Well, you don't get the
He invented that entire genre.
You don't get the one humbucker. You don't get the super strat. You don't get anything. You don't get the locking nut. You certainly years later don't get the D-tuner. You probably don't get super high gain amplifiers as quickly because there was some stuff coming in, but no one gave a damn about Jose modded Marshalls or any kind of modded Marshalls or anything.
You're right.
And ironically, that his Marshall was, although the few tweaks that Dave Friedman has notated was pretty close to stock, gain wise anyway, except for that, that one
waxed humbucker pots.
Yeah, we won't get into the nerd parts, but I mean, pretty close to what you could get from a Plexi. But everyone thought it was this crazy modded Marshall, which made that whole scene then popular. I mean, forget even the music, right?
So, kid, I agree with that last statement.
And because I didn't grow up in Hendrix's time, because I'm not a boomer, I really don't care.
Yeah.
Like when I'm learning as I get older and older in life, you're very, very affected by what hit you around 12 or 13. In previous generations, it's nice to study and all, but there's no relationship there. You didn't grow up in that time, so there's no relationship there.
What you said when you about that whole 80s rock scene.
Yeah, that's all Eddie Van Halen.
Right.
It's trials and tribulations and avenues off of it. But so much of it, if Eddie hadn't come along, you don't get that scene, in my opinion. Right. I could be wrong.
Eddie wasn't the hair metal big hair band. He influenced all of those bands.
Oh yeah, that was the offshoot,
That all came from Hendrix. Yeah. From Hendrix, yeah, sure. Came from Hendrix. No, it came from Van Halen, in my opinion. I feel like he was the original seed that sprung that seed.
Yeah. And I don't think you can blame him in the same way that, like, someone like Banksy, who I'm not a fan of, but had a great original idea, but now there's all these knockoffs that are just crappy clones, in the same way that the 80s got to the point where it got so devolved in access that it was ridiculous. But you can't, knock the fact that he started, this whole change that was nothing like what came before. I mean, like Chris Farley said, everyone was listening to disco, and then they went on and killed it, and it was like, that was awesome. No one got it.
And he kind of raised American rock and roll to of a slightly more metal slant and a little away from the blues. Up until that point, you had American bands like Aerosmith, but they were more derivative of the Stones and blues. Eddie wasn't blues. Eddie was from another planet. I mean, there's probably a little blues in there. There's probably a little bit of everything.
Well, there's
He
the
kind of
swing
invented his own whole complete style that no one had ever heard of before.
Yeah.
Which I can only equate it to if I did grow up in the late 60s. That's probably how Hendrix would have affected me had I lived through that. But I wasn't even born yet. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, still, first album, I'm the One, that blows me every time, you know? Who's swinging like a muted, like distorted, you know, open note, like, you know, doing that kind of stuff, you know, with that kind of rhythmic stuff and the open and the fills, the way they fit right, they either land right on the downbeat or they land late or early on purpose, but it's just like a jazz player would do it. You know, that's crazy, you know, but it doesn't feel like a straight ahead thing, even though it really is, you know.
All right, John, what's your take on
Well, you know,
this?
of course I'm going to say Eddie, but you know, as far as Hendrix, I don't want to, you know, crap on Hendrix. He was definitely an innovator. I'm not like a huge Jimi Hendrix fan. I do think Jimi Hendrix, I'm not saying, you know, some people are going to get all over me, but I think he did benefit. I think somebody said, Jimmy Ray may have said it in the chat too, that he did benefit from, he died at a young age. And as we know, anybody that dies at a young age, they become immortal, like Kurt Cobain, everybody, you know, it's just like, you know, Jim Morrison, all these legends, you know. So, and he also benefited from, you know, the people who controlled the, you know, music industry back then, Rolling Stone magazine and people like that. That was their era's guitar god. And they pushed it on all of us as we were kids that this is the greatest ever lived. And we bought it, you know what I mean, along with it.
We were born into it, John.
We were born, and you're correct. Exactly. So we
were born into the Beatles are the greatest rock and roll band of all time, and Jimi Hendrix was the greatest guitarist.
Yeah. So we were
it was like the narrative, you know.
We were indoctrinated. So, you know, and like I said, he died at 27. So that helped too, because he became the mythical figure. But, you know, if you listen to his music, it was great. And for such a short career that he had, that we all knew him, you know, 4 or 5 years, really, it's kind of staggering what he did. But at the same time, I don't think he was as influential as Eddie Van Halen was by any, you know, stretch of the imagination, because not just because of Eddie's creativity and just like Tom, you just laid it all out. I'm the One. It's just like jazz, man. And just the way that guy could land on his feet, you know what I mean? It was just incredible. You know, I don't think you can compare him to Hendrix at all. And, you know, and he didn't like being compared to Hendrix because Clapton was his guy. And in that book that you know, that we're going to interview the authors about in a couple of weeks, in there, Eddie basically even said Clapton, he was done with Clapton. You know, by when Cream ended, he was done with Clapton at that point. He said, I learned everything I needed to learn from Clapton by the end of Cream. And he goes, that was it. You know what I mean? So then he goes, then I was just doing my own thing after that. But, you know, aside from his, you know, musical creativity, then you get into the other part where, you know, the ideas about, you know, how to like reimagine the instrument and, you know, improve it to what it is now. You know what I mean? That's, I think, you know, another, and you know, the second part of his life, I think, you know, he kind of focused a lot on that, you know, the guitars and stuff like that. And even if things that he didn't invent, like, you know, the D-tuner, he didn't invent the D-tuner, but, you know, it was,
he backed it.
He inspired, I think, people to create things like that, because, you know, he would figure out workarounds for different things and stuff like that. And then somebody would say, hey, you know, I got an idea that, you know, we got to figure out a way to do that. And I think that he provided that impetus for people to come up with these, you know, imaginative ideas for things like that. So, you know, even the Floyd Rose, the fine tuners and things like that, you know, I think those are his idea to make that better. But he was always looking for ways, I think, to make the guitar, you know, better. And even if he didn't come up with the idea, you know, as his life went on and he became, you know, more wealthy and more famous, I think he knew, you know, to get the right people, like guys like Jim DeCola and people like that, to you know, work with him on ideas and things like that, and you know, and use those people's talent and ability to reach the goal that he had in mind for certain things, you know. So I don't think there's anybody like that. I think it was a perfect scenario for him. It was the perfect storm, because he you know, 1978, he just took the world by storm. And then for the rest of his life, he was very famous. Everybody knew that he experimented with all this stuff, and, you know, in his backyard, in his studio, and it was the perfect storm for him to come up with a lot of these ideas and this innovations and things like that. So I don't think there's guys out there that are doing crazy things like that now, but we'll never hear from them really either. But I don't know if they would have as much impact as he had because of the millions of people who followed him and guitar players in particular. I think that, I don't think older generations get that either. The guys who are the Hendrix ones, we're all protective of our own heroes, and they protect Hendrix as the greatest guitar player that ever lived. You talk to anybody in there like 65 years or older.
Yep, they're all
it's all Hendrix. Hey, no, Van Halen. My ex-father-in-law, he was like that generation, and he would like flip his nose up at Van Halen, kind of stuff like that. Like his
NCX.
Yeah, right. So I think that's where it is.
Well, kids my age, it went from Kiss as a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, and then it kind of moved right on into Van Halen.
You're right. That's what happened to me. And I went from Kiss to Van Halen, and then I never left.
Right.
Because they always kept
music. I think music's very generational, and I think it's like between the ages of 12 and 14, you hold on to dearly, and nothing ever that comes after that will ever touch that period. That you get into it and you pick your favorites. I
think 100% kid. I saw Van Halen
12 and 14.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah,
I would agree.
I'm being general.
I would agree.
I've heard it might have been a little later. I don't know.
I was 9, bro.
Oh, he was earlier. Did you have older brothers?
Oh yeah, I was.
Let's see who was the.
You had brothers that were teenagers when you were that age, so they were turning one.
Yep, 2 older brothers.
So 12 and 14.
Well, I had to discover it on my own. I didn't have older brothers, so mine was like 12, 13.
Okay.
12 to 14 puts me
See,
right in the
I think it forms your musical personality.
Yeah.
Right about
Definitely.
19.
And then you're 30, you're 40, and you still look back at those as the glory days, as the most magical period, and those are your favorites. And nothing that will come along today like Greta Van Fleet or Rival Sons or any of these Johnny-come-latelys. Come on.
Yeah. Analog Kid, my brother on my 9th birthday gave me 5150, the tape for my birthday.
And how old was your brother at the time? 15?
Yeah, he's 6 years older than me, so yeah.
About that.
See, I had a very good buddy who I've known.
And you were done, right?
That was it.
Game over, right?
Yeah.
I have a buddy I've known since we were both 4 years old, met on the first day of preschool, and I can still play the videotape memory of that morning in my head. Like, that's how clear it is to me. But his uncle was a little bit older than us, but a lot younger than his mom. So she played us Eruption when we were 4 years old, sitting on the couch on vinyl.
4.
That was my experience, my first experience. Blew my mind, dude. Now, I didn't go back and listen to all of them for years later, but that's when I first heard it. He would sit us down for hours and just play us like Maiden, this is what he played. He was into metal, so it was like Maiden, Priest. Some were cassettes too, not all vinyl.
4 years old, that's like, what do you call that?
King Diamond, SOD, Anthrax.
Indoctrination.
Yeah, and then it was like Zeppelin,
Into the
Floyd.
What year is this? What year is this at 4 years old?
1981/82.
Oh, Jesus, you're so young.
And then
That was a very good year.
He would play from like King Diamond or like Stormtroopers of Death to like Floyd. He wanted us to be able to sing Floyd solos, and we had to memorize Floyd lyrics. He gave us like lessons in rock. He said we had to learn this stuff. It was important because no one was gonna remember this stuff. And he goes, and then he goes, and they had talked about CDs coming out, but 82, I think the CD came out.
It was really affordable
yet.
Yeah,
and
thank him for all your hoarding issues that you have, Tom.
He thought when the CD came out, it was going to ruin everything, so he would copy us cassette tapes. So we had all the Van Halens, we had all the like Floyd, Hendrix, any classic rock, anything that's good.
At 4 years old?
No, he made us those tapes at like 7 or 8 years old. He started making us tapes, but he would sit us down when we were that young because he just thought it was funny.
Now,
he would sit us down and just play us records, just play us and play us. because he was only like 17 when we were like 4 or 5 years old.
Let me ask John and analog something. Kurt, you guys might be a little young, but so John, were you ever a member of this Columbia House?
Yes.
I wasn't
Both.
allowed to.
Both Columbia
Oh,
House and
BMG.
BMG.
Yeah. And
Oh,
I never was.
I
would you
wasn't
buy
allowed
everything
to.
in a store?
I wasn't allowed
my
to.
like anybody in my house that had my sisters, anybody
Oh, you
else.
got hand-me-downs.
Yeah, I got hand me downs. You know,
Oh,
my
that's
Kiss
nice.
albums are all hand me downs, everything. You know, so I was good.
Yeah, I had both, TK. I did both.
you kid.
Yeah, I was in both clubs, plus buying stuff used in the city all the time. I'm a music junkie. I have like 10,000 CDs, 3,000 vinyl records.
Wow.
I got my own problems.
See, that's one thing I was the opposite of. I have very little like music media. There was like a 7-year period of time in my life where I can guarantee you I didn't listen to more than 5 songs that were not Van Halen. I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. If someone was playing something else, I would say, turn that shit off.
Oh,
Or you put Van
dude,
Halen
broaden
on.
your horizon.
No, dude,
Tony.
this was 7 years from like 11 to 18, though.
So the BMG,
Yeah,
you would
right.
cut out the CDs or the tapes that you wanted. You would put them on that postcard. Then you'd tape the penny onto the postcard and put it in the mail.
You could tell what age group you're from by if it's Columbia House or BMG. So Amanda
and also Kurt probably got cassettes, not vinyl, I would guess.
Amanda
no vinyl. It was cassettes and then CDs.
Old people are Columbia House.
Yeah, I remember when that big box of records came.
That the place that pressed those, because you know why they got them so cheap. Like the CDs were made out of inferior material. They made them out of.
Well, they pressed them in house.
Yeah,
they had their own pressing plant.
The pressing is in Pennsylvania. One of the biggest ones was like 20 minutes from my house. I used to drive by it every day. It's called Record Something of America, and they did all the BMG, all the Columbia House. They did all those.
All right, we're up to you, Tom.
Oh, what's the question? I forgot the original question.
Oh, dude.
It's no. But in fairness, it's morphed. Tony answered a different question than John's ended up. So I want to figure out where the question is, because somehow it became.
We're back to Eddie Van Halen as the inventor of guitar. We went off on a tangent.
Yeah,
I might have been responsible for that.
Our own little way, though. So
yeah, somehow Eddie versus Hendrix.
Thank you, kid.
I'm trying to figure out what the actual question is.
Well, back to Jimi Hendrix and Eddie Van Halen being the two most important guitarists.
Or who's gonna
anybody else?
Who's
take
next?
That was the original question. Okay, yeah. So I kind of see it differently, maybe because I love Hendrix, but I don't see it as the same style of music. I wouldn't really consider Hendrix rock or hard rock in the same way that Van Halen is. I just don't see it as the same. To me, Hendrix is blues, jazz music.
Yeah.
So I can't compare them. I don't see that as even the same. I see Hendrix as a massive innovator in the way that he wrote vocal harmonies with the chords, the way he played chords, the way he changed a lot of things functionally on the guitar, but he was not an innovator as much in his equipment. I think that guys like Pete Townsend were more innovators. Hendrix always gets the equivalent, the credit, or is accredited with, getting these large Marshalls. It's not true. It was Pete Townsend that one of the large Marshalls. Hendrix in the studio mostly played clean Fenders. I spent a week with Eddie Kramer, and unless Eddie Kramer's lying, he rarely used Marshalls in the studio. It was always clean Fenders. He said he used the Showman heads, which are even cleaner than a Plexi. It's like a Plexi almost clean level, like a real clean Plexi. Because I don't know how many Plexis you guys have played, but I've owned, a couple from 68 to 71. And my 68 that I should have never got rid of was really like Eddie's, like really trebly, really gainy. And I had a 70 for a while that was like so in your face clean. It was almost like a high watt. These are all EL34s. And I have a 71 now, which is real crunchy, like real kind of gainy. So they're all kind of different, but Hendrix had all the clean ones. He went from, clean Fenders, JTM 45s to JTM 45 100s, but they're all clean heads. And he played in a real clean, different style. So I can't really compare those two. To me, I see Eddie more as like this centuries or this kind of our time period of anyone who's still alive when Eddie was alive. I see that as comparing to someone who was alive back, during a romance period that would be, like a Mozart. I see it more like that. Someone that came out and people went, "What the hell is that person doing?" Because I don't even understand what that is, let alone be able to dissect it and kind of reproduce it or try to do a facsimile of it for another like 30 or 40 years, right? People are starting to get close now, and people like Alan Garber doing crazy accurate transcriptions. But when he came out in 78, or even people saw him 76, 77, whenever, we're like, what in the hell is that? Like didn't understand it. Like like the Haas said, Simon said, like an alien, and he made the reference. He's Simon sent me this picture, and that's, to me, this sums it up right there. Like I can't really compare it fairly myself, in my own humble opinion, because I see them differently. Like I see it more as, and even the guys that played with Hendrix, like Buddy Miles did an interview where he said Hendrix and I were like getting ready to form in 70. He's like, at the end of, at the end of August, before, he obviously went and died in September, but he said we were getting ready to do more small club stuff. We wanted to do more blues, jazz, and if you watch the interviews, I used to obsessively watch Rainbow Bridge and Hendrix interviews and movies. And if you watch Hendrix, he was sick of doing all this stuff. He was sick of all the, all the flashy stuff. He just wanted to get down to the playing, and, Band of Gypsies is my favorite album, bar none. You could throw
a lot of people like that
one. As far as I'm concerned, throw every other one away. As brilliant as they are in a lot of ways, I want Band of Gypsies, because to me, he was developing, he was taking off.
Yeah, Ben Tom, a lot of people cite his version of Machine Gun on that as maybe perhaps like in an Eddie's World equivalent in Eruption, just the most insane. A lot of people who really know Hendrix really, really well, and I'm not saying I'm one of them, that Machine Gun on that record they cite as his best playing, his best moment.
And it's not anywhere near technically what Eddie could do, but you have to look at it in the same way that when people see Les Paul and they're like, well, that's cool, but that's jazz. And I'm like, but rock and roll didn't exist when he was playing that. So of course he was playing jazz, like he was, exactly. So to me, I see them completely different, but I look for who's an innovator. I don't think I see Hendrix as his own innovator, just like I see Les Paul, but I don't think, and this is really kind of polarizing to say, I don't think either Hendrix or Les Paul, if you combine those two, had as much influence on how the paradigm shift of everything from the equipment to the clothing to the volume of the music in some instances, in the sense that it was this distorted in your face, like Eddie playing a 412 in a club. It wasn't like we had 412s outside trying to fill like a stadium of sound. This was like, no, we're going to be in your face in a 600 seat club, and I'm still going to have my 412 there, but I'll face it backwards because I'm kind of a nice guy, like that's crazy. Have you ever played, like, I don't know if you guys have, or, I'm sure maybe you've had a chance, so I don't know what people have played, but if you ever play through like an old Marshall, either half stack or full stack with no pedals straight in, it's a scary thing. Or just watch the video that Pete Thorne did at when they were at that Toman thing. That's how it feels. Even a player as good as Pete Thorne, you feel like you're hanging on for dear life. Like no delay, no reverb, no nothing, no stereo spread, nothing. Just guitar cable into that head. It's the scariest thing you've ever did. It's like getting up in front of a crowd of people and speaking in front of them, like with, no preparation, like improvising. It's just, it's clean as hell. And that's what impressed me the most, more than anything about Eddie, is that to get what he got on those early albums out of that amplifier, that's a scary thing, man.
Yeah, because those pickups weren't even like, there was such low output, like 8.9.
And think about it. Eddie has even said in interviews, he wasn't hearing all that delay and all that reverb. He was hearing it dry to the, from the amp to the board.
That's why he had such powerful hands to just that, just the way he hit
100%.
Attack the neck.
When he's playing, was it 96 when he's playing Amsterdam on that, like, like a Charvel or whatever? Listen to that, because you can hear the delay and stuff in the background, but what he hears right up front, that's dry as hell, man.
Yeah.
and just to be, you know, he obviously played long enough and that many hours that he got comfortable with that. And like Spanish Fly, listen how loud his fingers are on the freaking neck of an acoustic.
I think that's he learned he had to play with that such intensity with his fingers, the slamming them on that fingerboard. I think that because you could hear even on some of the albums, like the first 2 albums, you could hear like the notes wouldn't sustain. They would kind of fart out on the on the Marshall because you didn't. It just he had to make them sustain. You know what I mean? Those notes. It was
his first guitar, the Tesco Del Rey. He didn't have an amp till like he was 15 years old. So he played that electric guitar for a year before he had a something to plug it into.
Yeah, so he attacked it. I think just because he had no other choice.
Well, everyone I know that's met him and remembers it even once or several times said that he had this grip strength in his hand that was like a death claw.
Not as much as John's.
Insanely strong.
I think I outclawed him that one time. He was pissed off.
That's funny.
I have the picture to prove it.
For me,
broke his damn hand, dude.
I know.
I feel bad. I apologized to him though. I saw him a week later, and I go, "Hey, I'm sorry for that. Night at the club. I know you were nervous about the gig that you're playing with Garrett." I go, like an idiot, I crushed your hand, and he was a nice guy. Oh man, don't worry about it. It's all cool. But I know that Scotty Ross, their tour manager, used to tell people not to shake his hand.
And you gotta shake the guitar player's hand gently like this.
That's your moneymaker, man.
Oh.
Wait.
I knew that would come out.
You got to do that, and then all of a sudden feature me real quick, and I'll go. Nice. Simon knows what I'm talking about. Simon has an SL68, which is not inexpensive, but especially if you're a professional, like Simon, you make your living doing that. Unlike me, mere, home amateur at this point in my life. An SL68 is like a phenomenal plexi, but roadworthy and reliable. Sir makes it. And it's got the 90 voltage. There you go. It's got the 90 voltage tap on the 3-way switcher.
Poor John. Poor John.
Poor Eddie.
But I mean, Simon.
Man, if he ever meets you in real life, he's gonna squeeze the hell out of your hand, Kurt.
Oh man.
I can't wait to meet John in real life. I'll give him a run for his money.
If any of you
meet
ever
you, John.
meet my father, he will give you a run for your money.
Kung Fu grip, baby. Kung Fu grip.
My father is of Eastern European stock. One of his, the family name translates roughly. Medved translates to the bear, and my dad was not only in the military but was a dentist for 40 some years, and his hands will he does that slow crush, and he doesn't have hands. He has 2 catcher's mitts.
Yeah, my dad's an electrician, Tom.
And he says, there you go.
He goes, "There's 2 ways you can tell someone: one, by their handshake, and 2, if you can see light underneath their feet when they walk." That's how he judges people.
That is the same thing. There's extra meat all around his hand that I don't have.
Yeah.
I'll get a cut, but he doesn't even get a cut. It doesn't break the flesh.
All right, so I'm gonna give my opinion, then I'm gonna bounce out because it's getting late here. But I always consider Eddie the 4-headed monster, and you guys have used all these words: innovator. He's a musician. He's a performer, and he's a businessman. As an inventor, seriously, we talked about the Super Strat, the wax potted humbuckers, the Floyd, the D-Tuna, the amp. I mean, who else is going to dredge that uncharted water? I don't know if there's anyone. As a musician, I mean, the guy played guitar, he played bass, he played drums, he played piano. Who knows how many reed instruments that his dad taught him how to play. So that in itself is amazing. But as a performer, I mean, think about just the lights, the smoke pots, having as Tom talked about, having the stack of Marshalls. He was the one everyone was copying when they had, you know, the Marshall cabinets all over the stage. That was due to Eddie. And then the businessman, you know, the whole EVH thing with pioneering a guitar brand, an amp, effects, strings, picks. I mean, man, that's a pretty steep thing to try to duplicate or take to the next level. You know, he evolved the guitar, he evolved the equipment, and he also especially evolved the equipment that we plug the guitar into, which is a huge feat in itself. But who's going to play or who's going to push the envelope like he did? And who's going to set the precedence as to what's next? Like, that's Pete Thorne, I would say, has a pretty high passion for some of the technical pieces that Eddie's kind of already laid out for us. But really, I don't know if there's anyone else that can take what he's already laid out for us and take it to the next level. Or is there a next level?
Well, I don't know what it is. That's the question.
I just think he's the last guitar hero. He was the last. I mean, there are great guitar heroes. Don't get me wrong, but he's the last one that will connect with the mainstream. With everybody knew who Eddie Van Halen was, and I don't think.
Well, plus two, I think it's not a stretch to even say he's the greatest
Right.
of all of them as well, for many reasons. For many reasons, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
I think you're right, John. It transcends a guitar player or a band or even rock music to cultural icon.
Yeah, and I don't think we have that. It's because music has changed so much now, and I don't think everything's disposable. We've discussed that. It's like I don't think you're ever going to have anybody who's going to grab everybody's attention like that anymore, like he did. So I really think he's the last guitar hero.
He came along at the perfect time and in the perfect storm, really.
Exactly.
Right. Rock music in 2021 is not what rock music was in 68 or 78 when both Edwards and him did their thing,
Shadow of
it doesn't have that same importance. Cultural impact.
It's crazy that you say that, Analog Kid, because my immediate thought is growing up, Van Halen was the only band, like for me growing up at least, that I was worried there was not going to be another band that was going to go away. Like seriously, not kidding, worried, like would be up at night worried about it. Any other band, I'm like, well, okay, so they'd go away. It doesn't bother me.
Right.
I was really into Extreme. I loved them, but then when they kind of petered off, I was like, yeah, okay, well, I didn't care, whatever. But when like Van Halen, like especially like when they, the Gary Sharon time, like I was heartbroken. Like literally, like it's one of my mom's like my high school son's freaking ridiculous. No, wait. So I know I was college then. My college age son needs to grow up. It's ridiculous. He's upset because of some band, like that's how it was, crazy. Crickets.
No, it was with me. It was more hearing the news that Roth had left Van Halen.
That had to be rough, yeah, because you were right in the heart of that.
Yeah, like what? No way.
Like, were you more pissed, worried, upset? What? All of it?
All of
it. Well, but then you began hearing rumors about Sammy Hagar. You began hearing rumors about him creating a band and making a record, and
different singers, and
there was new news coming from each camp.
I was so young, I thought that David Lee Roth just got fat.
You got used to it quickly, though.
I mean, I was like 6, 7, 8 years old. So 6 or 7, I guess I would have been when that breakup happened.
I thought he'd be back. I really did. I thought, it's just they'll
after like that many years of success and like phenomenal. Like, why could he not come back? I get that, yeah.
But at the same time, I always think that it had to implode when they when you burn that hot, man, and you go that fast, you got to burn out.
It's so weird you say that. I have 3 friends that have like had weird, crazy, like fast accidents, and I'm not trying to get dark, but and unfortunately passed away. But they were 3 friends of mine that everyone was like, they were the coolest effing guy in the room. Like they would show up and people are like, oh, I want him to be here. If he's here tonight, it's going to be off the chain. You know, it's like, I really believe in that. I think people burn out
Night,
fast. Like,
Amanda.
I think they burn out and fast, you know. Good night, Amanda. You know,
Get
that
some
makes
sleep.
sense, though. You know, it really makes sense what you said.
And you know what? And in retrospect, it's like, you know, everybody has I'm a Sammy or Dave guy. And, you know, most of us, I like it all. I'm sure you guys do too.
I love it all.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? He wouldn't have been able to do, you know, without Sammy, with some of the stuff. He could never have done some of those music with Dave. So it's like, it's all good. And the big picture and the end, you know, it's all good. So.
Right. All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you guys finish up the show. Thanks for letting me jump on.
No,
All
man,
right,
thanks for
Kurt.
hanging out, man.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Dude.
Always love it,
Nice
man.
to see
Awesome
you.
to have you.
So,
Always
Kurt,
a pleasure to see you, Kurt.
You too.
Kurt,
let
definitely.
me,
Always good to
let
see
me
you, brother.
ask you, bro, any news about the show upcoming? You
We
guys?
have next Friday we're doing 2.0 to live with live right here right now. We're gonna do the last side 2 of the DVD, and then the week after we're having John. You'll probably know him. We're having CJ Chilvers of Van Halen Encyclopedia. He's gonna be on the show.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be running that show. We're gonna do kind of an interview with him and find out really nitty gritty how he got all the information, how close he was with the band. So that'll be a good one in 4 weeks. So or 3 weeks actually. So next Friday will be live right here, right now, and then 2 weeks after that will be the encyclopedia.
That'll be a good one with the encyclopedia because he did all that before there was the internet and everything. He already had that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's crazy.
That was some deep diving.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's crazy is I was telling Tony, we got CJ Chilvers. You guys got the guys from the Eruption book, and I think Johnny's doing. He's got the author for the Aftershock book next Friday. So like really, all of us have got authors coming.
Yeah.
One in the
Good,
Author
man.
of
Lots
the
good
month.
content. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Rev, try to find out what some of his main sources were. Was he getting stuff out of newspapers and interviews and piecing it together? How was he getting the tour itineraries? Because even back then, some bands didn't even keep, prior to the internet, some bands like my band, Rush, their early years are not even documented by their management.
Wow.
It's all like patchwork shit from fans,
Yeah, that was one of my
With a lot of
questions.
missing dates,
Yeah.
Did he compile that? Where did he get the data from? How did he keep track of it?
It's going to be a great
it'll be fun.
show.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
When is that show going to be, Kurt?
Let's see. What's today? The
6th.
The 6th?
Well, Monday the 6th.
So it'll be the 24th. September 24th. I'll have a card out on Instagram. But
Midnight
it'll be the 24th.
Eastern.
If you do have a chance, Kurt, too, I want to know what his background is because I know some people that have done like research for books, and a lot of them were like former private investigators or government investigators because they know all the tricks how to find information, like seriously, like crazy information. Like they could track someone across the country, and those are the kind of people that like ex-FBI agents and stuff because it's easy for them. They make one phone call, plug in a couple, first, last name and a state, and they're there,
Right. Well, you guys have my info. Either email me or shoot me a message on Instagram of something you want me to ask him, and I'll make sure and relay it.
I'm just curious, like the background, because to get that kind of detailed information is.
Because that book, I reference it every time I do a show.
Yeah,
I read that
me
book 10
too,
times.
all the time.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. That's going to be a great show, Kurt.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yes,
So,
Kurt, is it set up all chronological? Is that the way you do it? Is it all a date line? Every date?
So that book, it's an encyclopedia. So it's set up. He does a whole timeline from the beginning of the band all the way to the end. And then he also does an alphabetical section in the encyclopedia, which is probably 60% of it, with names of bands, names of people that are involved, songs,
each tour,
equipment. Yeah, each tour. It's pretty cool. And you can actually, kid, you can get on VanHalenEncyclopedia.com, and the whole thing's a PDF. You can get it for free. Yeah.
Sweet.
So, all right, guys. Rock and roll.
All right.
Have fun.
See you later, Kurt.
All right,
Thanks,
Kurt.
guys.
Have a good one.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, Tony.
See you, Kurt. The Rev. Nice. Yeah, I've got that. Right
Oh
there.
yeah, cool. What does it say? The history of the something?
The world's greatest rock band. I think it's.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
There you go. Very cool.
So that's who's going to be on the show with them. Nice. The Van Halen Encyclopedia. I love this. So anybody waltzing in late, let's find these cards again.
Yeah, let's
Shaboom.
start hyping this up. Anybody that came in late, we're going to have the authors of Eruption, Conversations with Eddie Van Halen, Brad Tolinsky and Chris Gill on this show 2 weeks from tonight, September 19th at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a great book coming out. It's going to be a big deal. And we want to get as many people on here watching them and listening to them and asking questions as we possibly can. And pre-order the book now. It'll be out October 5th. And like I said, it's going to be big. So let's help make it as big as we can. Make it bigger.
Yeah,
So
100%.
but to get out there and pre-order it, go on to Amazon and pre-order audiobook, ebook, Eruption, Conversations with Eddie Van Halen. Brad Tolinsky and Chris Gill, you'd know them from Guitar World magazine.
Nice.
Spread the word, fellas. Spread the word, everybody.
Nice.
Definitely.
Nice. That's in 2 weeks from tonight.
That's it.
Right here, September the 19th, Sunday. Yeah, and that book will come out a couple of weeks after
Yep.
they're on the show talking about the book. So,
About 2 weeks.
yeah.
Yeah, about 2 weeks after it'll be out. So
Yeah. So, even though me and you have already got the book, I want the book, so I'm gonna get
me
the
too.
book.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's gonna be fun. Yeah.
It is. I can't wait. It's gonna be really good.
Yeah. So Neil couldn't be with us, but he hopes to be back next week.
Neil's finishing Simon's guitar, probably. I hope, right?
Yeah, he is, and we will see the end of that. Simon, can't wait to see that thing. I know you can't wait either.
Yeah, it's looking good.
But we will all see it soon enough. Yes. Yeah. So, kid, Wolfgang. So, Wolfgang, he played a lot of shows this week, dude.
Yeah, he did. He did. Couple of headliners, two club shows headlining. He was on a radio festival and then 2 Guns dates too, all this week. And tonight he's on another radio festival. He also added 7 dates. Originally, the tour was going to end at the Whiskey A Go-Go in Hollywood. He's making up the COVID date, but he tacked on 7 dates after that, all headliners across the United States in clubs.
Wow.
May get longer than that, but for right now, he added 7 more.
All headline dates.
Yeah, because when the Guns N' Roses tour ends, he makes up the Hollywood gig that he missed due to the COVID thing. Remember, it got postponed. It ended up being the last date of the tour.
Yep.
Now he's just added on 7 more in October from that, all headline dates. And there'll probably be more. I mean, I would imagine he'd do more than 8 headline dates, but who knows?
That's cool though. That all of them are headline dates. Though.
Yeah, after the Guns tour ends. Yep.
Yeah.
Man, he's gonna have so much momentum going then. That last show, that makeup
Guns.
show, man, people are gonna be like flooding that, trying to sneak into that show.
Yeah.
I imagine he's going to keep dropping dates after that.
Yeah. I don't think he'll just do an 8-city headline tour. That's too few.
Yeah, I think
I'm sure more are coming.
I think he's seeing how it goes, and as he goes, a couple more weeks, probably keep adding a couple more.
I'm sure they're going to be little blocks.
So he's never. I mean, I'm sure he's just never wants to be committed too long. But if he's still feeling it, and everyone in the band's still healthy and everything, just keep adding more. You know.
Well,
it would make sense. You know.
After October ends, GNR goes to Mexico.
Yeah.
And then after that, they go to Australia and New Zealand. After that, and MammothWVH is not a part of any of those dates. It's just the U.S. dates through October. So it's good. He's adding these dates, and hopefully he'll keep going. He may stop a little bit over the holidays and then head back out in the spring. Hopefully the world will allow him and others like him to do that.
Yeah, so, Keith Campbell, when the Guns tour ends, he makes up the one date in Hollywood that got bounced because of COVID. And then he just added 7 more on after that. So it looks like in October, November, one would guess, he's going to do a headline club tour. I would imagine hitting markets he hasn't, but who knows? Probably some majors too.
So where'd he play this week, dude?
Well, when we were on last week, he was at the Rialto Theater in Tucson. That place holds 1,400. He did his long set, the 15-song set, which headline set is Don't Back Down, Horribly Right, Mammoth, Mr. Ed, Resolve, Talk and Walk, Think It Over, You're to Blame, The Big Picture, Circles, Feel, You'll Be the One, Stone, and then he encores with Distance and Epiphany. Then the next night, he was on the Guns tour, August 30th, at the Footprint Center. Weird name for a venue. Phoenix, Arizona, 18,000. And he's gone back to his 7-song set. So for 2 nights in a row on Guns N' Roses, he did 7-song sets instead of 9. Then later he does a 6-song set on the Woodlands Festival for the radio station. But so in Phoenix, he did Don't Back Down, Mammoth, Mr. Ed, Think It Over, You're to Blame, Distance, and Epiphany. Then at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, the next night, 21,000, same 7-song set. Then he did a one-off, September 2nd, off of the Guns N' Roses tour, Austin, Texas, at a place called Emo's, 1,700 Theater Club, same 15-song set that he played in Tucson. So we went back to the full headliner. Yep.
Right.
Then he did a one-off that Guns N' Roses wasn't on. It's just a radio festival at the Woodlands in Texas called the Buzz Fest for a radio station KTBZ. And he did a 6-song set there. Don't Back Down, Mammoth, Think It Over, You're to Blame, Distance, Epiphany. And tonight he's on another radio festival, so I'd imagine he'll do the same thing, probably a 6-song set. Tonight he's in the Dos Equis Pavilion, KEGBL BFD 2121 Festival, the Eagle radio station festival, tonight in Texas.
His sets.
So he'll probably do a 6-song set like he did the other night.
His sets get shorter and shorter.
Yeah, when he first started with Guns, he was doing a 9-song set. Now he's doing a 7-song set. And it seems like when he does these radio festivals, he has even less time because he just does 6-song sets.
He still sounds phenomenal, though. You know, I was watching some YouTube clips, and boy, his voice sounds great. They, you know, if anything, they sound better as the tour goes on. They sound great.
So this is this coming week right here. You can see that, okay?
Yeah.
September the 8th, which is Wednesday, is that right?
Yeah, Wednesday, yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday.
Just Saturday and Sunday's near me.
Next week.
To see, I might be able to go to one of those. Are those solo shows? The Atlantic City?
One.
Yeah, the Cincinnati one is.
Yeah.
No, the Atlantic City, I mean.
No, those are Guns dates.
Yeah, see, I'll probably skip that because those tickets are just exorbitant because of Guns, and I'm not, you know, I'm not as, it's not as important for me to see them. So.
Yeah, that one on the 9th is a headline show.
I mean, if they were separate shows, I'd probably go to at least one because it's very easy for me to get to AC from here. I just go right through Philly and, you know, easy in, easy out.
How far are you from there? 2 hours, Tom?
I don't know exactly. Let me look. I can actually tell you.
So John, while you're looking for that, Tom, John, you sent me a picture, and I don't think I have it handy right here. Maybe you can show it on your phone. You last week you sent me a picture of Wolfgang and one of the opening stops. He broke out the Stealth.
Yeah, I did. Let me see if I can find it. That was the first time I saw him put this black Stealth. Wolfgang.
I'm about like an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes, depending on, you know, traffic and how fast you drive and whatnot. But I think it's like 100 miles. Not too bad. It's all highway miles, though.
How far are you from Philly? An hour?
No, like 30, 35 minutes. I mean, it's tough. I mean, sometimes it can be double that if there's traffic.
Yeah.
You know, like that's any city, but.
So we are right now, we are 3.5 weeks away from the GNR Mammoth show here in Raleigh.
You're at the end of the tour, right, Tea-Cake?
Yeah.
Kinda?
Yeah.
You're late September, right?
Yeah. So we're the 6th now. It's the 29th on a Wednesday.
Oh, TK, Kiss had to blow out another week of dates because now Gene got COVID. Did you know that?
All that, yeah.
It took another week. All this week is postponed.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We knew about that. So we'll see when that tour resumes and when they're gonna
Make up all the
add on
dates.
those dates. Not that anyone cares except me because I was supposed to go last weekend.
Right. Nice. That's a cool picture.
I'll be right back, guys.
Is that a headline date?
This might have been. I'm not
It
even
doesn't
sure.
look like a Guns date. Looks like they're in a club.
Yeah, it would make sense. Maybe they played a longer set and maybe he dragged us out for that. But it's the first sighting of that. I knew he had it with him, a black Stealth.
It's fading, John.
Oh, sorry.
Nice, dude.
I got one other thing for you guys. I just wanted to. I think I brought it up, but I found it. Let me see if I can find it again. So basically, here's a good one for you guys. Yeah, this isn't even what I was just talking about, but so Wolfgang was I think on Instagram, and Michael Anthony actually said something to him, and he responded to it. You can see that. Michael Anthony, Mad Anthony Baseman, rock it out, Wolfie. And Wolfgang responded, I'll do my best, brother, and 3 hearts.
Cool.
So that's kind of cool to see. A little, hopefully these guys will get together at some point, and talk. That would be nice. And I had one other thing for you here, if I can find it. Where is it? Come on. Shit. I had a photo of a tweet from Sammy, which was, I'd mentioned it to you guys before, but he had, I want to try to find it. It's easier. Hold on. I'll keep looking at it, keep going on. But basically, it was Sammy saying about the guy saying that right now or whatever didn't sound good live because it was tuned down a whole full step. And, Sammy's usually, very self-confident. And, he brags a little bit. He can be like that a little bit. But here he was like, listen, buddy, you wouldn't want to hear me singing a few weeks on the road trying to sing that, if it wasn't tuned down. So I guess he's basically acknowledging that he's getting old and it's hard for him to hit those notes anymore. So, which I thought was kind of different from Sammy because he would never in the past say anything like that,
Well, on songs like Dreams, I'm sure.
Yeah, forget it.
You know.
Yeah, they do like a slowed down version of it, tuned lower, and they, almost like an acoustic-y type of thing with that one. But I wish I could find his exact words, but it was pretty. I saved it somewhere because, he usually doesn't acknowledge any kind of weakness as far as him, And this is the first time I've ever seen him acknowledge that, so I thought it was noteworthy. Like, you wouldn't want to hear me a couple weeks if we didn't, tune it down like this. I don't know. I have it somewhere. Anyway, that was it. Oh, here it is. I don't like the guy's name, Johnny B. His name is. I don't like the way it sounds, tuned way down, kind of drags. So Sammy wrote, here, it's right here. So Sammy said, I hear you, brother, but you wouldn't like to hear the way I would probably sing it after a couple weeks on the road at standard pitch. So I think that's Sam. Yeah, Cocksure Sammy, Keith Campbell saying it in the chat. I think, but usually Sammy never acknowledges any type of weakness like that. But I guess, he's getting older and he knows that. And he's like, hey, this is how it is, buddy. You know. So
with age comes wisdom, right?
yeah, there you go. Right.
Look at that.
There you go.
That's
a
nice.
cool looking pick. That's a cool looking pick.
It's almost as cool as a see-through can.
Yeah, right.
In all seriousness, very cool, Tony. And you didn't tell us about your hat. Did I see that before? Or was that a new hat?
I think he's worn that before. You've worn that, Jake.
I thought he had, but I haven't seen it in a while.
I think I've seen him wear that.
Sharp, I like that.
I like the shirt though. I don't think I've ever seen that shirt before. That's a cool shirt.
You know what I like even more, Analog Kid? I like the coordination between the shirt, the hat, and then the 316.
T-Cake, what tour is the orange crew shirt from? What tour is that from? Balance?
Is that orange?
Looks orange from here.
I thought it was red.
Yeah, it's red, dude.
It's red.
Yeah.
Looks orange to me.
I should just shut up. I'm colorblind. I don't know.
Because Tom's screen is red. His Eddie Van Halen logo is behind him. That's red.
I can't see it. I thought it was
pen is red.
Looks orange.
The
what do you
pen
say,
is
John?
red.
Yeah. Looks orange.
John, you tell
looks
me.
Orange to me.
You're not colorblind. Okay, so it is. Okay, so it's orange.
I'm not either.
Maybe Tony's colorblind.
I'm colorblind too.
The pen is red.
Blue and red.
Okay, now when you put it next to the blue, I can see it. That looks orange.
Yeah, it looks like blue and orange.
The pen looks like the Denver colors. It's blue and orange.
Yeah,
right?
It's orange. I'm just.
okay. See, now you're
so is your shirt.
The shirt is red, though.
No, it isn't.
The shirt is red.
The shirt looks red to me.
Dude, the shirt is red. The shorts are red too.
It's probably how different people's monitors are processing it. You know what I mean?
Well, regardless, what tour is it from?
I don't know.
It's from the Tony's been working out, man, looking fit tour.
Yep. Keith says it's orange. He's like John and me.
Well, there you go. Keith nailed it. Yep. Keith has decided it is orange. It's like when the boss comes in, they're like, which one we're going with?
You got sunglasses on, Tony.
My shades make it
look
look
like we're
red.
going with this one. We're like, yep, that's the one I like. Yep, that's the best one.
Keith H says it's orange.
There you go.
Another
orange
one.
then.
What tour is it?
316 is red, yeah.
Yeah, the 316 is red.
It's red.
What color is this for you
Shirt
guys?
is not
Red.
orange.
Red, black, and white.
I think the reason that this comes up correctly red is because it's just an overlay. It's not something the camera has to reproduce.
Now,
you know what I mean?
if I
The camera's
slide
not
back
reproducing
like
red
that,
color. That's an overlay.
Still
now it
looks,
looks red or it's orange now.
looks orange to me.
But
Orange to me too.
I mean, do you think that's some of it, John? Though that like, or Analog Kid, either one of you. I was looking at the name tag. That my overlay comes out so red because it's an overlay. It's not my camera reproducing it. Whereas, like, unless you get like a crazy like $5,000 camera,
but T-Cake's directly above it on my monitor, so that's clearly red, and what he's wearing is clearly orange. Yet his on the hat it's red. The 316.
And the headstock on the guitar in the back, you can see it's more red.
Right, yeah, on the Kramer there.
Yeah, the Kramer.
The 316 matches the shirt on my screen.
Oh, to me, that looks red, and his shirt looks orange.
So all of ours are just, different gradations of, or variations of, rather. What's up behind you, Tony? That ink stuff.
Where?
Is that your tattoo stuff?
Clearly marked black, white, and orange.
Oh, that there.
Now that looks orange. That's why I brought it up, because that looks orange. The white or the orange or the color on it is next to the white, that looks orange.
Jimmy Ray Hawkins, shirt is orange, hat logo is borderline.
That is orange.
Slowly bring that real orange next to the red, and let's see what happens, because I have a feeling my eyes are going to lose
it. It is a slightly different shade.
Hang on.
I can't see gradients
hang
in a lot of colors. That's the problem. That's why I lose it,
All right. Are you ready for this? All right. That's orange.
Yep, that looks orange.
Yeah.
Okay.
Orange.
Logo on my hat is red, right?
Yeah, red to me.
Yep, red.
Orange, red, orange, red. All right, I'm gonna pull it.
Oh, it's getting scary. It's scary.
Yeah, it's a different shade.
Slowly.
Looks dark orange.
It's a different shade of orange.
How
Different shade of orange. It's dark orange.
But how crazy
That
is
is
it
red.
The other one's more
That
of a
is
fluorescent
orange.
bright orange, more of a yellow orange,
Yes,
And this is
more of a red
Red.
orange.
that's a ready orange. Yeah, red orange.
What tour is it from,
Now I'm
TK?
confused. All I
I'll
have to
tell
know
you what
before.
tour it's from after you tell me that this shirt's red.
Oh!
Jesus.
It's orange.
We're gonna play that game. Do you guys
It's
ever
blood
watch,
orange. That's got it. Jimmy Ray Hawkins got it. It's blood
Sean,
orange.
you ever watch,
Blood orange. There
you
you
ever
go.
watch the comedy show Key and Peele? When he does the teacher and he goes in the classroom and he goes, "Hey, Alicia," or he makes up his name. Oh, he calls him Aaron, and he goes, "It's Aaron," and he goes, "I'm not in the mood for it," and he just takes everyone's normal names and tries to pronounce them. I forget what the other ones are, but it reminds me of that. It's funny. He's like, "Until you say your name is what I tell you it is, we are not leaving this classroom," So it's pretty funny. I think what the other ones are, but that's why I always call Aaron from Alvis Band, Tony. That's why I always call him Aaron, because he goes, Aaron, and he goes, "It's Aaron," and he goes, "I'm gonna lose it, son."
Well, fellas, I'm gonna bow out because I got to go to work tomorrow.
Oh no.
I'm
Yeah.
full of sleep.
But
But-
all right. We're all gonna call it a night. We've been at it for a couple of hours. So once again, before we leave, in 2 weeks, right here, 2 special guests on board.
Yeah, spread the word, everybody. Let's get a lot of people watching this and pre-ordering this book. It's nice of these guys to come on the show. Let's help them out and spread the word about this book, and everybody tune in, or get everybody to tune in that's a Van Halen fan, and hear what they have to say about the book and about Eddie.
Yeah, gonna be a good show.
Jimmy
for
Ray
sure.
Hawkins said blood
Oh,
orange. It does remind me of blood orange.
Yeah, it's kind of what it looks like.
All right, so everybody in the chat and everybody watching on replay, thanks so much for hanging out. Wolfgang's got a lot of shows upcoming this week for this coming week. Excuse me. We'll keep you posted on those next Sunday night right here as we prepare for the following week's show. With these 2 great authors and this new book that we're all just learning about, which is so cool in itself.
Yeah. Van Halen fans are going to enjoy this book. And, these guys want to talk to the hardcore fans. So we're lucky enough to get them. And it's going to be a good show, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, kids. Analog Kid, John Conklin, Bent Tom. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Nice to see you. Everybody have a great week. Hope you're off tomorrow. Labor Day Monday. I am.
Lucky.
John, have a great day tomorrow, brother. Everybody
fight
have
the
a
good
great
fight.
week.
I'll
And
say
we
that, John, come home and reward yourself with like a quick nap,
Oh yeah.
a little short whiskey, quick nap for dinner, A little short, short.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right. Good night, guys. And thanks, Simon, you're saying about the Brad and Chris and Jimmy Ray. So we look forward to seeing you guys next week and then the following week when they're on there. So
Yeah.
Thank you guys for all hanging out.
good night,
Yeah.
Keith.
You guys
Hey,
hang
love you
out
guys.
backstage a minute. Everybody, will see you right here next week, 10 p.m. Halenville Live. Have a great week.
True.